I have 7 sisters, each one a goddess dreamed of by other men. A CEO sister, a superstar sister, an academic prodigy sister, a queenly sister, and a mysterious sister. The sisters declared, "We dote on our brother, and anyone who dares to bully him will face our wrath." Chapter 1, The Cold CEO. Jiangbei, Xinghue Building. Qin Feng adjusted his suit, his hand tightly gripping the ring box in his pocket. This diamond ring, costing 2,000 yuan, was purchased through his thrift and savings. Today marked the first anniversary of his relationship with Chen Jiyun, and he was ready to propose. At 5 p.m., Qin Feng watched the building's exit with anticipation, imagining a romantic public proposal that would make Chen Jiyun overjoyed and ready to accept his marriage proposal. Suddenly, his body froze. He saw Chen Jiyun, but also noticed a greasy older man beside her. The two were arm in arm, Chen Jiyun resting her head on his shoulder with a blissful expression. They were conversing, and then Chen Jiyun kissed the man on the cheek and laughed joyously. Her demeanor, her expressions, were identical to those she once had with Qin Feng. Qin Feng felt the world spinning around him, rage surging through him as he witnessed this heart-wrenching scene. "Chen Jiyun!" he roared, striding forward, pointing at the balding middle-aged man. "Who is he? What is your relationship?" Chen Jiyun was startled, seemingly not expecting to encounter Qin Feng here. Her expression turned slightly unnatural but quickly reverted to indifference, saying coldly, "I was planning to tell you anyway. Now that you've seen it, it's better, saves me the trouble." "You," Qin Feng was so furious he could barely speak, raising his hand, intending to strike her. "Go ahead, hit me if you dare." Chen Jiyun wasn't afraid at all, stepping forward, lifting her face in a provocative manner. "Why? Why would you do this to me? Haven't I treated you well enough?" Qin Feng's raised hand hesitated, coward. Chen Jiyun sneered, "And you dare to ask why? Do you have a house? A car? Savings? You have nothing. Why should I waste my time with you? We've been together for almost a year. Have you ever bought me a necklace, a ring, earrings? Have you given me any branded bags? My friends all live better than I do. What makes me inferior to them? Why should they live like rich wives while I suffer with you? And you still have the nerve to ask why? Do you expect me to waste my entire life on a loser like you?" Qin Feng took a deep breath, pointing at the middle-aged man. "So, you settled for an old man who could be your father?" "Qin Feng, watch your mouth. You have no right to speak about Mr. Wang. Though older, he's a successful man with his own company, unlike you, a penniless fool." Chen Jiyun scowled. "Kid, face reality. It's your fault for being useless and not earning money. From now on, your girlfriend will be my responsibility." The middle-aged man pulled Chen Jiyun closer, kissing her in front of Qin Feng, a triumphant look on his face. "Fuck you." Qin Feng, being a man with pride, couldn't tolerate this blatant provocation, even though he had decided to break up with Chen Jiyun. He kicked out, but before he could land the blow, 2 security guards rushed in and restrained him. "Kid, you're out of your league. In this world, money is king." Smack! Wang Guodong slapped Qin Feng, leaving a clear handprint on his face. But the real pain Qin Feng felt was in his heart. Wang Guodong then ordered the security guards, "Throw this trash onto the street." The guards began dragging Qin Feng away. V-room. The roar of a powerful engine echoed from a distance. A sleek black Porsche 918 Spider screeched to a halt beside Qin Feng. The door opened, revealing a pair of exquisite, long legs in black high heels, with perfect curves that outshone any model Qin Feng had ever seen. Gulp! Men on the street couldn't take their eyes off those legs, mesmerized by their beauty. The high heels planted firmly on the ground, and an exceptionally stunning woman stepped out of the car. Her long hair cascaded over her shoulders, her tall figure adorned with gold-rimmed glasses, her face exuding an icy beauty. Dressed in a black suit, her presence was overwhelming, akin to that of a queen. Such was her commanding presence that it overshadowed her striking beauty. Qin Feng swore he had never seen a woman as beautiful and coldly alluring in his 20-something years. To Qin Feng, her appearance was breathtaking. To Wang Guodong, it was utterly shocking. He clearly recognized her and knew her background. Shen Ruobing, the CEO of Shanglong Group in Jiangbei, at only 27 years old, was already worth billions, making her the youngest entry on China's billionaire list. President of the Jiangbei City Business Association, she dominated multiple industries, including dining, real estate, electronics, and communications. A true superwoman, Wang Guodong's Tianhui Electronics depended on Shanglong Group for 90% of its business, making Shen Ruobing his lifeline. Gulp. Wang Guodong, overwhelmed with nerves, swallowed hard, every cell in his body on edge. Previously, he had only glimpsed her from afar at a gala, unable to speak to her. Now, the opportunity had arrived. He pushed Chen Jiyun aside, hurriedly approached Shen Ruobing, and with the security guards and Chen Jiyun watching in disbelief, bowed 90 degrees in reverence. Ms. Shen, hello, I am Wang Guodong. I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not welcoming you properly. He harbored a small hope that Shen Ruobing might speak to him, thereby opening the door to future interactions and potential business advancements. Slap. Wang Guodong never expected the response to be a slap across the face. The sting left him stunned. He looked at Shen Ruobing in disbelief, only to see her eyes blazing with fury. Ms. Shen, why? Humph, that slap was on behalf of my brother. Shen Ruobing's voice was icy, her presence overpowering. Your brother? Wang Guodong was dumbfounded, trembling with fear, nearly wetting his pants. He couldn't recall ever offending Shen Ruobing's brother. Ms. Shen, this must be a misunderstanding. How could I dare offend your brother? Oh, really? I just saw you slap him. Is that still a misunderstanding? Chapter 2, A True Gentleman Atones for Every Grievance. Boom! Shen Ruobing's words struck Wang Guodong like a bolt of lightning, shattering his heart. The very person he had just slapped. He looked up at Qin Feng, who had been released by the security guards, and was dumbfounded. The impoverished young man, apart from his good looks, who seemed otherwise worthless, was actually Shen Ruobing's brother? How could this be possible? How was it possible? Wang Guodong's mind was in turmoil. If he was truly Shen Ruobing's brother, why would his girlfriend be involved with me? Unwilling to believe it, he pointed a trembling finger at Qin Feng. He is Ms. Shen's brother? Indeed, he is, Shen Ruobing replied coldly. Wang Guodong's face turned ashen, and he broke out in a cold sweat. It was over. Completely over. Not only had he put a green hat on Shen Ruobing's brother, but he had also hit him. He was utterly doomed. Chen Jiyun was also stunned, her mouth agape, unable to utter a word. In the year she had dated Qin Feng, he had never mentioned having such a cold and commanding sister. Though she didn't know Shen Ruobing's identity, Wang Guodong's reaction made it clear that this imposing woman was no ordinary person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have terrified Wang Guodong, who had assets worth millions. Thud. Wang Guodong fell to his knees, kowtowing desperately. Ms. Shen, I am deeply sorry. I was blind and did not realize he was your brother. Please, I beg you, give me a chance to amend my ways and become a better person. I swear I will never offend Mr. Shen again. Shen Ruobing frowned with distaste. You should apologize to my brother, not me. Wang Guodong immediately crawled towards Qin Feng, kowtowing repeatedly. Mr. Qin, I'm sorry. You can beat me or scold me, just please spare me. I will reform and lead a good life. Please, give me another chance. Qin Feng, still puzzled by the sudden appearance of this powerful and icy woman advocating for him, realized this was his opportunity for revenge. A true gentleman avenges every grievance, especially one involving infidelity. If he let this go, he might as well give up being a man. Thud. Qin Feng kicked Wang Guodong, knocking him to the ground. You dog, stop disgusting me. Forgiving you is out of the question. Shen Ruobing turned to Qin Feng, her powerful aura from earlier completely subdued, her icy demeanor softening. Brother, how do you wish to deal with him? Qin Feng, seizing the moment regardless of why this stunning woman was helping him or calling him brother, replied, the scumbag uses his money to toy with women. I want him to be a pauper. Shen Ruobing smiled, that can be arranged. She instructed her secretary to investigate Wang Guodong's identity and assets, then made a phone call. From today onward, terminate all dealings with Tianhui Electronics and inform the entire Jiangbei business circle that anyone who dares to do business with Wang Guodong will be opposing me, Shen Ruobing. Also, notify the banks to seize his properties, or they won't recover their loans. Dominant. Qin Feng's mind was filled with this word. One call and she could bankrupt a CEO. This icy beauty had immense power. If only she were truly his sister. Wang Guodong, hearing Shen Ruobing's phone call, collapsed. His company was his lifeblood. 10 minutes ago, he had been euphoric over a huge deal. Now, he had plunged into hell. Not far away, Chen Zhiyun's face twisted in extreme bitterness. She had just found a long-term provider, tasted the life of a rich wife for a few days, and hadn't even flaunted it to her friends. Now she was back to square one. She ran to Qin Feng, crying, "Feng, I truly love you. I never intended to betray you. It was Wang Guodong who forced me. I can show you my bruises. Please, let's be together again." Slap. Qin Feng slapped her, knocking her off balance. "Feng, I really love you. Even if you beat me to death today, I want to be with you," Shen Zhiyun pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Qin Feng laughed bitterly. Today he had truly seen her for what she was. A year-long relationship, and she turned out to be such a vile woman. How had he not seen her true colors before? "Let's go, brother, ignore her," Shen Ruobing said, pulling Qin Feng into her Porsche 918 and driving away. Wang Guodong stood up, glaring at the departing car with venomous eyes. Inside the car, the atmosphere was tense. Qin Feng had never imagined riding in such an expensive sports car, especially with a woman of such extraordinary beauty. "What's wrong? Do you not recognize me?" Shen Ruobing asked with a smile, noticing Qin Feng's discomfort. Qin Feng looked at her exquisite profile, searching his memory for any woman so beautiful, but found none. "Alas, it seems you've truly forgotten us. When we used to play house, you said you'd marry us when you grew up." Shen Ruobing sighed, a hint of sadness in her voice. Qin Feng's eyes widened. Holy! He didn't remember that at all. The car came to a halt by the roadside. Shen Ruobing turned to Qin Feng, looking serious, and spoke softly. "Do you remember the fire 10 years ago?" Qin Feng's heart clenched. The fire 10 years ago had killed his parents, leaving him the sole survivor, later sent to an orphanage. Suddenly, he looked up at Shen Ruobing, incredulous. "You're the sister from next door." "You finally remember," Shen Ruobing said, her eyelashes fluttering, making her appear unexpectedly playful, no longer the domineering CEO. 10 years ago, if not for your parents' sacrifice, my whole family would have perished in that fire. They also saved many neighbors, but sadly." Shen Ruobing sighed and continued, "Do you remember the other 6 sisters we played house with? They've all been looking for you. Today, we finally found you. It's wonderful." She hugged Qin Feng, saying, "From now on, you're our brother. No one will ever bully you again." Breathing in Shen Ruobing's pleasant perfume, Qin Feng felt like he was dreaming. Just like that, he had gained 7 sisters. Chapter 3, A Dragon on His Back. "Brother, let's add each other on WeChat. It'll be easier to stay in touch," Shen Ruobing suggested, producing her phone. Qin Feng quickly took out his phone as well. After scanning each other's QR codes, they became friends. "Alright, I have some business to attend to at the company, so I'll be off." "This car is yours now," Shen Ruobing said before stepping out of the car, leaving a bewildered Qin Feng behind. A luxury car worth millions, given to him just like that? It was beyond extravagant. His sister's generosity was astounding. Struggling to contain his excitement, Qin Feng had always dreamed of owning a car. He had been saving for a modest Santana, but now that was unnecessary. He explored the car enthusiastically, looking around with the awe of someone who had never seen such opulence. Previously, he could only admire such supercars in magazines, never imagining he would own one. However, he soon realized the upkeep of such a luxury vehicle would be incredibly expensive. He was practically penniless. How could he afford the maintenance? As he pondered this, his phone suddenly chimed. Glancing at it, his eyes widened in shock. Shen Ruobing had transferred 200,000 yuan to his WeChat account, and the notifications continued to ping. After 100 transactions, a new message appeared. "Brother, WeChat has a transfer limit. Here's 20 million for now, spend it slowly. I'll send more when I have the chance." Qin Feng swallowed hard and slapped himself. The pain was real. It wasn't a dream. Overnight, he had gone from having a single-digit bank balance to being a multi-millionaire. The sudden surge of happiness was overwhelming. Now, the cost of maintaining the car was no longer an issue. He admired the balance in his WeChat wallet for 10 minutes before starting the car, humming a tune as he drove. The heartbreak from being betrayed had vanished completely. Now I'm wealthy. Chen Jiyun means nothing, he thought, dismissing her from his mind. He kissed a dragon-shaped jade pendant hanging from his neck, the only keepsake from his parents, feeling deep gratitude for them. They had sacrificed everything to save others, leading to this moment. Good deeds do bring rewards. As Qin Feng neared his rented apartment complex, a large truck barreled towards him like a raging beast. The driver was none other than Wang Guodong, who had been bankrupted by a single call from Shen Ruobing. Learning of Qin Feng's address from Chen Jiyun, he had found a truck and waited nearby. Seeing Qin Feng in Shen Ruobing's supercar filled Wang Guodong with an unbearable jealousy. I worked tirelessly for decades to have everything I did. Just for sleeping with your girlfriend, you stripped it all away? My company was my life. If I can't live, neither will you, he roared, flooring the gas pedal. Qin Feng noticed the truck too late to evade. With an earth-shattering crash, the truck smashed into the Porsche's front, the force reducing the front of the car to scrap metal. The airbags deployed, but they were useless against such massive force, pinning Qin Feng against the car's remnants. It felt like a herd of elephants had trampled him. His body was shattered, his consciousness dimmed, and he could smell the scent of death. Blood soaked the car's interior, a horrifying sight. Wang Guodong wasn't satisfied. His hatred for Qin Feng was immense. Although Shen Ruobing had bankrupted him, he lacked the courage to confront her, so he took his rage out on Qin Feng. He reversed the truck and rammed the car again before fleeing quickly. Qin Feng was already dead. No one could survive such a collision, not even a trained soldier. Blood splattered onto the dragon-shaped jade pendant. Suddenly, the pendant glowed faintly and trembled before melting and merging with Qin Feng's blood. A faint image of a soaring dragon appeared on his back. Although it was ethereal, only its tail seemed somewhat solid. After about a second, the dragon vanished into Qin Feng's body. Despite his death, Qin Feng's heart began to beat once more. Zhongbei First People's Hospital. Outside the operating room, 3 stunning women waited anxiously. Each one was the epitome of beauty. They glanced repeatedly at the indicator light, their faces tense with worry. Elder sister, it's been over 10 hours. Why isn't the surgery over yet? Could it be that Xiaofeng, a beautiful woman with an angelic face and tall figure, said? Don't speak nonsense. Our brother will be fine, Shen Ruobing admonished, though she was equally anxious. Seeing Qin Feng's mangled body had almost made her faint. It was hard to believe this was her brother she had parted with so recently, but she had to stay strong as the eldest. Don't worry. Second sister is personally operating on Xiaofeng. She's the top surgical expert, renowned both domestically and internationally. With her skills, he will be fine, comforted Zhou Shuiwei, another stunning woman whose curves almost burst from her clothes. Just then, the surgery light went off. Qin Feng was wheeled out, his entire body wrapped like a mummy. The 3 women immediately surrounded him, their faces full of concern as he lay unconscious. Muya, how is Xiaofeng? Shen Ruobing asked eagerly. Bai Muya removed her mask and cap, revealing a face of breathtaking beauty. Though fatigued, she reassured them, don't worry, he's out of danger. With proper care, he'll recover, but it will take about a year or so. The 3 women sighed in relief and wheeled Qin Feng to a private ward. In a state of unconsciousness, Qin Feng's mind was flooded with new information and fragmented memories. Though too hazy to decipher, a cultivation technique named Ascending Dragon Chaos Art emerged in his thoughts. Unwittingly, he began to cultivate it. A faint dragon appeared on his back, and subtle changes began to occur in his body. Chapter 4, Bathing Qin Feng. Do you smell that? What's that awful stench? Zhou Shuiwei paused, her hand midair while peeling an apple. She wrinkled her dainty nose in disgust. It seems to be coming from Xiaofeng, Su Qingying frowned, the odor too pungent to ignore. Did he soil himself? Zhou Shuiwei put down the apple, her appetite gone. Stop talking nonsense. Shen Ruobing moved closer to the bed, sniffing near Qin Feng. She recoiled instantly, nearly gagging, and hurried to the door for fresh air. How could it smell this bad? Could his wounds be infected? Watch over him, I'll fetch Muya. She clicked away in her high heels, returning shortly with Bai Muya. As soon as they entered, Bai Muya's expression tightened. In all her years as a doctor, she had never encountered such a foul smell. She quickly approached Qin Feng, touching his body, and her face filled with astonishment. Second sister, what's wrong? Has Xiaofeng's condition worsened? Shen Ruobing's heart sank at Bai Muya's troubled look. Bai Muya shook her head, puzzled. It doesn't make sense. He had multiple fractures, how could he heal so quickly? Are you saying Xiaofeng's body has already recovered? Shen Ruobing asked in amazement. Bai Muya nodded. Let's take off his bandages and see if there's a problem. Wait here. She went to the nurse's station and returned with gas masks. Put these on to block the smell. The women were taken aback by the suggestion, but the memory of the stench made them comply quickly. Together, they unwrapped Qin Feng's bandages, and what they saw left them speechless. A layer of black, sticky substance covered Qin Feng's body, emanating the horrid smell. Let's clean him up, Bai Muya instructed. They carried Qin Feng to the bathroom, placing him in the bathtub. As they washed away the filth, the odor dissipated. Zhou Shuiwei removed her mask, her eyes drifting to Qin Feng's lower body, blushing fiercely. This rascal. He's quite well endowed. Shen Ruobing and Su Qingying couldn't help but glance, their faces reddening, hearts pounding. Only Bai Muya remained composed, even touching him to check. No visible damage, it should still function properly. The other women were speechless. Did she really need to touch to confirm? But her fearless demeanor was impressive, befitting a top doctor. Hey, have you noticed? Xiaofeng seems more handsome, Su Qingying exclaimed, staring at his face, which now exuded an inexplicable charm. Their eyes shifted from his body to his face, all equally stunned. His features seemed more refined, his skin smoother, and his physique was impressively sculpted. Wow, his skin is smoother than mine, and look at those abs. He could be a fitness model, Zhou Shuiwei admired, her hands lingering on his chest, clearly captivated. Snowwei, remember, he's our brother, Shen Ruobing reminded, clearing her throat. Zhou Shuiwei pouted. We're not related by blood. The women took their time, meticulously bathing Qin Feng, ensuring every inch was cleaned. As they worked, Qin Feng's consciousness began to stir. He felt like he had awoken from a long dream, the contents hazy except for a clear memory of a cultivation technique. He sensed something odd, feeling hands on his body and a fragrant scent. Women's perfume? He panicked momentarily. Had he been kidnapped by female delinquents? Wait, wasn't he hit by a truck? Why didn't he feel any pain? Instead, his body felt incredibly light, with an internal energy flowing through him, enhancing his senses. We've washed him thoroughly. Let's move Xiaofeng back to the bed, Shen Ruobing instructed, her face flushed from her earlier explorations. Although she had scolded Zhou Shuiwei, she herself hadn't resisted touching him. Hearing Shen Ruobing's voice, Qin Feng decided to continue feigning sleep. It would be too awkward to reveal he was awake now. They returned him to the bed and dressed him. Su Qingying asked, second sister, if Xiaofeng's body is healed, why isn't he waking up? Bai Muya pondered. His recovery is miraculous, but perhaps his brain suffered severe trauma. I'll perform another CT scan tomorrow. I have another surgery now, call me if anything happens. She left them to their vigil. Elder sister, if you have business at the company, go ahead. We'll stay here, Su Qingying suggested. Shen Ruobing nodded. I need to check on Wang Guodong's whereabouts. How dare he harm our brother? He's courting death. Su Qingying and Zhou Shuiwei's faces turned cold. That bastard won't escape us, even if he hides at the ends of the earth. Chapter 5, Sisters with Unusual Identities. Lying on the hospital bed, Qin Feng slowly opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was a deep, snow-white cleavage that nearly blinded him. What's going on? Such a great perk. Oh, brother, you're awake? Zhou Shuiwei was bending over, looking at Qin Feng's face. She never got tired of seeing his handsome features. When she saw his eyes open, she exclaimed in joy. Sitting on the other side, Su Qingying also looked excited. She immediately threw herself onto Qin Feng. Xiaofeng, you're finally awake. I'm so happy to see you again. Qin Feng felt a bit awkward being hugged by such a beautiful stranger. Although he knew they were his childhood playmates, they were all adults now. Such intimate contact didn't seem appropriate. He vaguely remembered playing with 7 little girls in his childhood but had forgotten all their names. Who are you? Qin Feng asked. Su Qingying got off him, admired his face for a couple of seconds, and then spoke. We're all your sisters. It's been 10 years since we last met, so it's normal you don't recognize us. Zhou Shuawei smiled sweetly, showing her small tiger teeth. We used to be neighbors and played house together often. Her expression then turned somber. Unfortunately, we lost contact after the fire 10 years ago. If it weren't for your parents, we would have. Shuawei, let's not dwell on the past. Xiaofeng, big sister should have told you, right? We're all your sisters. Let me introduce everyone to you. Su Qingying tossed her long hair, and a pleasant scent of shampoo wafted into Qin Feng's nose. It smelled so good, and she was incredibly beautiful, like his dream lover. Just looking at her made his heart beat faster. The other girl was no less impressive, cute and soft, with a figure so dominating it seemed straight out of an anime. These two goddesses wanted to be his sisters? Qin Feng's heart raced just thinking about it. He had been just a loser and a recluse before, never able to speak to women of such caliber, let alone get this close. Wait a minute. Did they just bathe him? This sudden happiness was overwhelming. Xiaofeng, what's wrong? Su Qingying was about to introduce the others but saw Qin Feng suddenly zoning out. Thinking he was unwell, she quickly asked. Ah. It's nothing, nothing. Go ahead. Qin Feng snapped out of his thoughts. If these goddesses wanted to be his sisters, he couldn't refuse. He needed to hear who all 7 were. Big sister is Shen Ruobing, CEO of Shanglong Group in Jiangbei. You've met her. Su Qingying began. Qin Feng nodded. He was deeply grateful to this cold and beautiful CEO who not only avenged him but also gave him a car and money. Second sister is Bai Muya, the deputy director of Jiangbei First Hospital and a top surgeon nationally and internationally. She personally treated your injuries. I am your third sister, Su Qingying. Our family owns Qianxi Jewelry. She didn't elaborate, but Qin Feng was stunned. He had expected his sisters to be extraordinary, but this was beyond his imagination. Qianxi Jewelry was the largest jewelry company in Jiangbei, dominating almost 90% of the market, with chain stores nationwide. Its assets surpassed even those of Shen Ruobing's Shanglong Group. Rumor had it that the CEO of Qianxi Jewelry had an only daughter, and it turned out to be his third sister. If she inherited the business, she would be an even bigger tycoon than Big Sister. She is your fourth sister, Zhou Shuawei, Su Qingying continued. A top professor in physics and chemistry at Zheng University, the youngest doctoral advisor, and a recipient of national science grants. Qin Feng was dumbfounded. His seemingly soft and cute fourth sister was actually a genius and so beautiful. He had always been a poor student, and now he felt utterly outclassed by his exceptional sisters. Zhou Shuawei looked a bit smug. In other areas, she might be naive, but in academics, she was a dominant force, a legend among her peers. She had always ranked first in exams, completed her middle school, high school, and university courses in 5 years, and became a doctoral advisor in 2 years. She was almost mythical. Fifth sister is Yi Sixuan. You might know her name, Su Qingying said with a smile. Qin Feng felt his mouth go dry. Could she be? Yes, she's the superstar. She wanted to come when she heard about your accident, but her schedule was too tight. She'll visit you later. Even hearing Su Qingying confirm it, Qin Feng felt like he was dreaming. Yi Sixuan was not only beautiful but also a highly talented actress. She had won the Best Actress award within 2 years of her debut. More impressively, her self-directed and self-acted film Sky Battle grossed 3 billion at the box office. Qin Feng had watched it 3 times. He couldn't believe such a big star was his sister. Sixth sister is Ling Shuang, the queen of Jiangnan's underworld. She was busy conquering territory when you had your accident, so we didn't inform her. Qin Feng was stunned. An underworld queen? That was intense. Seventh sister is Nangong Xian, a core disciple of Xiantian Palace. Her phone is often unreachable, and she usually contacts us. When mentioning Nangong Xian, Su Qingying looked helpless. Their youngest sister was very mysterious and rarely met with them, but it didn't affect their bond. Qin Feng was intrigued. Xiantian Palace? It sounded like a martial arts sect. Did martial artists really exist in this world? He thought of the martial arts technique in his mind, wondering where it stood among the martial arts world. Got it all? Su Qingying asked. Qin Feng nodded. His mind was now incredibly sharp, and he remembered everything clearly after hearing it once. At that moment, Zhou Shuiwei's phone rang. After answering, she apologized. Sorry, Xiaofeng, I have to attend a meeting at school. I'll come see you when I have time. Fourth sister, if you're busy, go ahead, I am fine now, Xinfeng said. Zhou Shuiwei nodded and left. Third sister, since I'm better, can I leave the hospital? Xinfeng asked Su Qingying. Sure, if you don't want to stay, we'll discharge you. Wait a moment, I'll handle the paperwork. Su Qingying said and rushed out. Xinfeng breathed a sigh of relief. Facing these two goddess-level figures, he felt quite pressured. He couldn't imagine what it would be like when all 7 sisters were together. Chapter 6, A Company for You. After more than 10 minutes, Su Qingying returned, a hint of apology on her face. Xiaofeng, I just received a call from the company. They need to hold a shareholders meeting, and I have to go back. I've completed the discharge procedures for you. Can you leave the hospital by yourself? If not, I can ask them to reschedule. Xinfeng felt a warmth in his heart. His sisters were truly kind to him. He quickly said, Third sister, I'm fine now. If you have urgent matters at the company, go ahead, I can manage on my own. Take care of yourself, and call me if you need anything. Su Qingying turned to leave but stopped after a few steps, saying, I almost forgot, this is for you. She took out a black card with gold edges from her bag and handed it to Xinfeng. What is this? Xinfeng examined the card, which was exquisitely crafted with diamonds embedded along its edges. The front bore the words Supreme VIP, and the back had Su Qingying's name. This is a Supreme VIP card, issued jointly by the top 10 wealthiest individuals in Jiangbei. There are only 50 of them, all given to prominent figures. Within the businesses run by these 10 magnates, you can enjoy unlimited free services. I don't need it, so I'm giving it to you. Though Su Qingying spoke casually, Xinfeng immediately sensed the card's significance. Out of millions in Jiangbei, only 50 had this card. Its value was beyond measure. And one more thing, I've bought the company you work for. You are now the legal representative, and all the formalities have been completed. You just need to take up your position. That's all, I must go now. With that, Su Qingying departed gracefully, leaving Xinfeng in a state of astonishment. She bought the company I work for and gifted it to me? Isn't that a bit too extravagant? The world of the wealthy is truly unfathomable. I thought receiving a luxury car worth millions and a 20 million deposit from my eldest sister was already extraordinary. But this third sister is even more domineering, giving me a limited edition card and buying the entire company. Even though it's not a large firm, it still makes $1 billion in profit annually. Am I really going to earn over $1 billion a year now? It's too surreal. These sisters of mine are exceptionally generous. In the blink of an eye, I've gained what ordinary people could never achieve in a lifetime. Xinfeng felt as if he was floating on air. First, I'll buy that Santera I've had my eye on. My luxury car is still being repaired, and I need a vehicle to get around. Previously, I couldn't decide between Huawei and Xiaomi. Now I can buy both, along with an Oppo and a Vivo, just for fun. Being rich is indeed indulgent. As Xinfeng was daydreaming, his phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. When he answered, a middle-aged man's voice came through. President Qin? Xinfeng was taken aback, thinking it must be a wrong number. After a few seconds, he realized he was now the boss. Who is this? Xinfeng asked tentatively. President Qin, hello. I'm Wu Hongji, the general manager of Fantasia Ltd. The voice on the phone was both nervous and respectful. I just received a notification that you are the new owner of Fantasia, so I called to see if you have any specific instructions. Oh, it's Manager Wu. Xinfeng smiled. As an employee of Fantasia, he naturally knew the general manager. Wu was competent but always had a stern face. Meeting him was difficult before, but now his attitude was so deferential. Money really does make a difference. President Qin, please don't address me like that. Just call me Xiao Wu. Wu Hongji's voice was a bit anxious. Faced with an unknown new boss, he dared not put on airs. His entire family's livelihood depended on his job, which he couldn't afford to lose. I'll continue calling you Manager Wu. Given your seniority, calling you Xiao Wu doesn't seem appropriate. I don't have any special instructions, just continue as usual. If the end of your performance is good, you'll get a substantial bonus. Yes, President Qin, rest assured, I'll work hard. I won't disturb you any further. After hanging up, Wu Hongji leaned back in his leather chair, sighing with relief. He then looked in the mirror and muttered, "Does President Qin think I'm old?" Straightening up, he thought, I should ask my wife for some face masks tonight. He then took out his phone and updated the high-ranking officials group about the new owner. Qin Feng left the hospital and first went to the car dealership to purchase the Santera he had been eyeing. Then he returned home to sort through the newfound fragments of memory and cultivation techniques in his mind. However, the memory fragments were very vague. He could only recall a great fire, a palace, a jade pendant, and a dragon soul. Despite his efforts, he couldn't remember anything more. Frustrated, he decided to focus on his cultivation. As he entered the cultivation state, a dragon shape emerged behind him, its mouth open, absorbing the invisible spiritual energy from the surroundings into Qin Feng's body, circulating according to his cultivation method. He felt warmth in his abdomen, with a stream of energy flowing through his body, creating an unprecedented sense of lightness. After completing a small cycle of cultivation, Qin Feng got up and decided to test his newfound power in a secluded place soon. He took a taxi to a small hill outside the city. It was already late at night. He chose an open area, gathered his internal energy into his arm as instructed by the technique, and punched a tree. Crack! A tree over 10 meters tall was felled by his punch, shaking the ground as it fell. What the hell? Who did that? Just as Qin Feng was marveling at his power, an angry voice sounded. 3 youths emerged from the nearby bushes, clearly ruffians, with dyed hair and earrings, looking defiant. Kid, are you out of your mind, chopping trees in the middle of the night? You almost hit us, snarled the leader, a punk with a yellow-dyed mohawk, glaring at Qin Feng. Qin Feng hadn't expected anyone to be nearby. He didn't want to cause trouble, so he was about to apologize when he noticed a figure lying in the grass, seemingly a woman. Kid, what are you staring at? I'm in a good mood, so I won't bother with you now. Scram. The mohawk blocked Qin Feng's view, looking menacing. The other two also shouted, "Get lost, or we'll make you regret it." Chapter 7, A Rescued Beauty. You're the ones who should leave. In the past, Qin Feng would have been intimidated by 3 thugs, but now he felt a surge of confidence from the changes in his body. He had just felled a tree with a single punch, boosting his self-assurance. You're courting death. The punk with the rooster comb hairstyle was furious. He had gone through great lengths to drug a beautiful woman and drag her to this secluded spot, only for a tree to nearly ruin his plans. Now, this young man dared to challenge him? Boss, what should we do? The red-haired youth on the right asked. What do you mean, what should we do? Get him. The rooster comb punk slapped the redhead, annoyed by his incompetence. How could he have such a useless follower? The green-haired youth rushed forward. He was nearly 6 feet tall, skinny as a pole, with his hair cut into a bowl shape that made him look like he had a fuzzy green hat on his head. Qin Feng was amused. Of all colors, why green? And with that height, did he think people wouldn't notice his ridiculous hair? The red-haired youth followed suit. Unlike the tall green-haired youth, he was short and fat, barely 5 feet tall, and likely weighed over 200 pounds, moving like a rolling ball. The rooster comb punk didn't move. As the leader, he thought 2 minions were enough to handle a scrawny-looking young man. He crossed his arms, watching Qin Feng coldly, anticipating his screams. The green-haired youth reached Qin Feng first, swinging a fist at his head. Qin Feng shook his head. To him, the thug's movements were slow and clumsy. He easily caught the punch and, with a flick of his wrist, sent the green-haired youth flying. Thud! The green-haired youth crashed into the redhead, and they both collapsed in a heap. The redhead tried to get up, but the green-haired youth, wincing in pain, signaled him to play dead. The redhead caught on and promptly pretended to faint. The rooster comb punk was stunned. This seemingly weak guy had such strength. He had thrown a grown man with one hand. However, he quickly regained his composure, drawing a knife from his pocket. Kid, this is your last chance. Leave now, or I'll cut you. Qin Feng smiled, enough with the threats. Are you leaving on your own, or do I have to make you? Do you know who I am? Ask around Jiangbei about Brother Ji, and you'll see. Cross me, and you'll regret it. The punk spun his knife menacingly, hoping to intimidate Qin Feng. Enough nonsense. Qin Feng lost his patience, striding forward and swinging a punch at Brother Ji. Brother Ji felt confident seeing Qin Feng's attack. He thought the kid was just strong but inexperienced. He stepped forward, aiming to stab Qin Feng's fist with his knife clang. The knife struck Qin Feng's fist, producing a dull sound. Qin Feng felt a sharp pain but quickly realized his fist was unharmed, only a small white mark visible. He was astonished at the hardness of his fists. Brother Ji was terrified. His knife's tip had broken off, and Qin Feng's hand was unscathed. Such a feat was beyond his comprehension. Seeing Qin Feng approach, Brother Ji panicked. "Brother, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll leave now." He backed away, trembling, then turned and fled as if chased by a mad dog. "You two can stop pretending. Get lost." Qin Feng walked towards the redhead and the green-haired youth, kicking each one. Their attempts to feign unconsciousness were futile against Qin Feng's sharp senses. They quickly scrambled up and ran off. Qin Feng then approached the grass, finding a pair of jade-like legs illuminated by the moonlight, adding to their allure. The black stockings were torn but still accentuated the curves, evoking primal desires. Further up was a short skirt barely covering her hips, and a white shirt with buttons undone, revealing her undergarments and hinting at an impressive figure, comparable to his fourth sister, Zhou Shuewei. The woman's face was half pressed into the ground, the other half obscured by hair, making her identity unclear. It was evident what the thugs had intended. "Are you all right?" Qin Feng gently shook her, but there was no response. He frowned, realizing she must have been drugged. Leaving her here was unsafe, so he decided to carry her back. As he lifted her, he saw her face clearly. She was indeed beautiful, much prettier than his ex-girlfriend, though she didn't surpass his sisters. After meeting goddesses like Shen Ruobing, Su Qingying, and Zhou Shuewei, his standards had risen. This woman was stunning by ordinary standards, but to Qin Feng, she was just above average. Carrying her, Qin Feng felt the soft sensation against his back, making him slightly flustered. Shaking off the distraction, he took a deep breath, used his newly acquired skills, and started moving. Initially, he was clumsy, but soon his speed increased, feeling light as a feather even with the extra weight. Qin Feng was overjoyed. This must be the likeness skill from wuxia novels. It felt miraculous. He sensed energy at his feet, propelling him forward with each step. He had taken a taxi earlier, which took nearly half an hour. Returning took just over 20 minutes, without breaking a sweat. After placing the woman on his bed, Qin Feng took a shower and then fell asleep on the sofa. Meanwhile, in a room in Jiangnan, a man in a black suit reported to his boss sitting in an office chair, "Boss, we've located the lady. We can move out at any time." Chapter 8, A Prodigy. Woo! Inside the room, the woman slowly woke up. Suddenly, she seemed to remember something and let out a sharp scream. Qin Feng, who was sleeping on the sofa, sprang up as if a spring had been pressed under him and rushed into the room. Who are you? Don't come any closer, or I'll call the police." Seeing Qin Feng enter, the woman became tense, clutching the quilt and shrinking into the corner of the bed, trembling with fear. After escaping from Jiangnan, she had planned to find a hotel to stay in, but on the way, someone grabbed her, covered her mouth and nose with a cloth, and she lost consciousness. Before passing out, she saw 3 men leering at her. Now awake, seeing Qin Feng, she immediately assumed he was one of those lecherous men. "Miss, don't be scared. This is my home. I rescued you and brought you here." Qin Feng gave a harmless smile, trying to calm her down. "You saved me?" The woman seemed slightly relieved upon hearing this. Qin Feng went out to get her a glass of water and then asked, "What's your name? Where do you live? I can take you home." Perhaps Qin Feng's handsome appearance helped her lower her guard. Her tense body relaxed slightly as she whispered, "My name is Lin Yutong." Her eyes reddened as she added, "I have no home." Qin Feng was momentarily at a loss for words. It seemed this beauty had gone through some unpleasant experiences. "Do you have any relatives or friends? I can contact them for you." Lin Yutong shook her head. Qin Feng felt a headache coming on. No family, no relatives. Was she an orphan? "Since you're awake, I'll take you to a hotel then." Lin Yutong immediately looked at Qin Feng with a pitiful gaze. "Can I stay here? Hotels aren't safe." Qin Feng was speechless. This was their first meeting, and she wanted to stay at his place? Wasn't this relationship progressing a bit too quickly? Don't worry, I won't cause you any trouble. I won't stay for free either. I can take care of all the household chores, how about that? Lin Yutong blinked her big eyes at Qin Feng. Having such a beauty staring at him made Qin Feng feel a bit uncomfortable. Considering that she was an orphan, just like him, he felt a sense of shared destiny and nodded. Thank you, I'll repay you. Lin Yutong smiled sweetly, causing Qin Feng's heart to skip a beat. He didn't expect her to look so beautiful when she smiled. He stood up, ready to leave. Are you a practitioner? Lin Yutong suddenly asked. Qin Feng paused, looking puzzled. How do you know? I can sense a faint flow of true qi in your body. Qin Feng was even more surprised. Being able to sense his true qi, could this woman be a martial arts prodigy? Don't be surprised. It's just basic qi observation, Lin Yutong explained. Qi observation? Qin Feng was confused. Are you a traditional Chinese medicine doctor? Hee, you might have heard of Lin Wendy. Of course I have. He's a famous physician in Jiangnan, known for curing any ailment, Qin Feng said, then suddenly wore a strange expression. You're not saying you're Dr. Lin's granddaughter, are you? Humph, don't I look like it? Lin Yutong replied with a hint of pride. But you said you have no family? Qin Feng asked, puzzled. Lin Yutong fell silent, her face showing sadness. My grandfather was killed, and the Lin family was destroyed. I survived because I was out giving free medical consultations. Lin Yutong's voice trailed off as she began to sob. Her sorrowful appearance evoked a strong protective instinct in Qin Feng. Unconsciously, he held Lin Yutong in his arms, listening to her story and occasionally offering comforting words. As she recounted her tale, Qin Feng's expression grew serious. This girl was truly pitiful. Her entire family had been killed, and she had been targeted by an underworld boss who wanted to marry her. Fortunately, the underworld was in turmoil, with many bosses fighting for territory. Her medical skills were exceptional, and she had treated injured individuals, using this as leverage to keep herself safe until she found an opportunity to escape to Jiangbei, where she encountered Qin Feng. After finishing her story, Lin Yutong realized she was in Qin Feng's arms and blushed, pulling away. However, she wasn't angry with Qin Feng for holding her. After all, he was very handsome, and being held by him wasn't too bad. Alright, don't worry. You can stay here as long as you need. Qin Feng reassured her. Lin Yutong thought for a moment and said, Would you like to learn medical skills? I can teach you as a way to repay you. Isn't learning traditional Chinese medicine very difficult? I'm a terrible student. As long as you're diligent, there's nothing difficult in this world. Let's start now. Lin Yutong was very serious. Now. Isn't that a bit too soon? Qin Feng had planned to go back to sleep. I'll teach you some basics first and see how talented you are. If you're not suited for it, I won't force you. Qin Feng thought for a moment. Since he was a terrible student, testing his aptitude might dissuade her from insisting on teaching him. 10 minutes later, Lin Yutong stared at Qin Feng in shock, murmuring, How is this possible? Is there really such a genius in the world? Qin Feng was also a bit bewildered. He had assumed traditional Chinese medicine would be difficult, but after Lin Yutong explained it once, he remembered everything and could even infer new knowledge. An hour later, Lin Yutong's face showed fear. This was too unfair. What had taken her 15 years to learn, Qin Feng had mastered in an hour. Moreover, in acupuncture, his accuracy and steadiness in identifying points surpassed hers. Even more terrifying, with his true qi, he could perform ancient acupuncture techniques that even Lin Wendy couldn't. What kind of monster was this? Thinking about the time she had spent learning traditional Chinese medicine and comparing it to Qin Feng, Lin Yutong felt like crying. Is that it? Have you taught me everything? Qin Feng asked, somewhat unsatisfied. It seemed too easy. He now felt like a master of traditional Chinese medicine. Let's call it a night. Lin Yutong, feeling defeated, didn't want to talk anymore and just wanted to be alone. Seeing her state, Qin Feng went to the sofa. The next morning, Qin Feng slept until 9 o'clock. Seeing Lin Yutong still asleep, he didn't wake her and drove his recently bought Santana to work. He felt entirely different now, knowing the company was his. Humming a tune, he parked his car and headed to the office. Just as he reached the entrance, he saw his former supervisor, sales manager Hu Bin. "Xin Feng, do you know what time it is?" Hu Bin glared, asserting his authority. Chapter 9, Doubles. As a salesperson, look at yourself. Do you even remotely resemble one? Ha! Hu Bin pointed at Xin Feng, disregarding the fact that they were at the company entrance, and began his tirade, showing Xin Feng no mercy. Xin Feng glanced at himself, dressed in a suit and tie. How did he not look like a salesperson? Moreover, he was utterly shocked. Did Hu Bin not know that he was now the company's president? How dare he speak to him in such a tone? This is the third time you've been late this month. Having an employee like you is a disgrace to our company. According to the company rules, you're fired. Don't step foot here again. Hu Bin pointed outside, his tone harsh. Xin Feng was furious. Hu Bin was always targeting him, simply because Xin Feng had taken an opportunity for further training that Hu Bin had wanted for his brother-in-law. Despite his diligent work, which the sales manager had acknowledged by sending him for training, Hu Bin had been making life difficult for him ever since, waiting at the company entrance to catch him for any mistake other salespeople were late, yet Hu Bin said nothing to them, focusing solely on Xin Feng. You can fire me, but according to the rules, the company owes me 3 months' compensation. When do you plan to pay that? How dare you ask for money with your performance this month? 3 times late means you leave automatically. Don't you know the rules? Hu Bin sneered. Fine, even if I don't get paid for this month due to tardiness, what about last month's bonus? My performance was the best in the team. Don't tell me there's no bonus. Xin Feng retorted. Get lost, or I'll call security. Hu Bin shouted furiously, attracting the attention of many employees. He had no intention of giving Xin Feng his bonus, though it wasn't much, nearly 10,000 yuan. If he reported Xin Feng's dismissal next month, he could pocket the bonus himself. He had done this many times before, accumulating almost 100,000 yuan. It seems the rumors about you are true. You're a shameless scoundrel. Xin Feng shook his head. With a leech like this in the company, reforms were necessary. How dare you call me a scoundrel? Hu Bin's face twisted in rage. Say it again, and see if I don't beat you. Xin Feng remained calm, dialing a number on his phone. Oh, calling for help? Let's see who you can summon. If you don't apologize today, you won't leave here. Hu Bin blustered arrogantly. The call connected, and Wu Hongji's respectful voice came through. President Qin, how can I assist you? Do you know Hu Bin, the sales supervisor? He's at the company entrance, threatening to fire me and demanding an apology. Come and handle this. Xin Feng hung up without waiting for a response. Wu Hongji, clutching his phone, nearly fell out of his chair. Was Hu Bin insane, trying to fire the company's president? He had announced the new leadership in the executive group yesterday. Had the sales manager not passed it on? Furious, he rushed out, calling as he ran. Ding Zhangwen, how did you convey the message? The sales supervisor is trying to fire President Qin. Get to the entrance immediately. Sales manager Ding Zhangwen, sipping tea, sprayed it everywhere, leaping up in rage and rushing to the entrance. He had informed the sales department yesterday. How had someone walked into this trap today? Don't mess up your job and drag me down with you, he cursed inwardly. Meanwhile, Hu Bin continued ranting at Xin Feng. Stop pretending. I have every right to fire you. Even if the president comes, I will ensure you are dismissed. Apologize, or I'll ruin your career. Spittle flying, he stood, arms akimbo, brimming with arrogance. At that moment, Ding Zhangwen burst out of the office, overhearing Hu Bin's words, and was instantly enraged. This idiot was digging his own grave by offending President Qin. Seeing Ding Zhangwen's furious expression, Hu Bin was puzzled. Did a major client get poached? He hurried forward to inquire, but before he could speak, a resounding slap landed on his face. A crisp sound echoed. Ding Zhangwen, using all his strength, slapped Hu Bin, leaving him stunned and terrified. Ding! Manager Ding, you! Before he could finish, another figure charged out, as fierce as a bull, and kicked him in the stomach. Caught off guard, Hu Bin was sent flying, crashing to the ground. Wu Hongji rushed over, kicking him repeatedly, shouting. You dog, do you know who you were talking to? Disrespect President Qin, will you? I'll kick you to death. Ding Zhangwen joined in, and together they kicked Hu Bin like a soccer ball. The company staff were dumbfounded. What was happening? The general manager and sales manager were jointly beating the sales supervisor? That's enough, a lesson suffices. Don't cause a death. Qin Feng intervened. Wu Hongji and Ding Zhangwen stopped, turned around, and bowed slightly. President Qin, I apologize for not managing this dog properly. Punish me instead. No, it's my fault for not ensuring clarity. Punish me, Ding Zhangwen added. Enough, neither of you is to blame. I don't want to see this person again. Handle it. Qin Feng said, walking into the company. Chapter 10, Trouble for the Scholarly Sister. President Qin, your tea. Qin Feng had barely settled into his office when his secretary, Chen Jinjin, brought in a freshly brewed cup. She was an alluring woman, her figure provocatively enhanced by her uniform, evoking a sense of conquest. Wu Hongji had selected her specifically from the talent market to serve Qin Feng. The previous secretary, entangled with the former boss, was no longer suitable under new management. Though some might tolerate a second-hand secretary, Wu Hongji, unsure of Qin Feng's preferences, opted for someone new. Just set it down. Qin Feng nodded, indifferent to Chen Jinjin's appearance, as he turned inward, focusing on the flow of his internal energy. He found it extraordinary to observe the qi coursing through his meridians, though he was somewhat disappointed by the sparse spiritual energy around, which slowed the accumulation of his qi. Seeing Qin Feng with his eyes closed, Chen Jinjin felt a pang of disappointment. She had meticulously prepared herself today, hoping to catch the boss's eye, but Qin Feng didn't even glance at her. Yet, he was so handsome. She had never seen such a strikingly attractive man before. Chen Jinjin gazed at Qin Feng's handsome face, her eyes almost brimming with infatuation. At that moment, Qin Feng's phone rang. Startled, Chen Jinjin quickly left the office, her heart pounding. She regretted not taking a photo. A man this handsome deserved to be her phone's wallpaper, admired at leisure. Qin Feng opened his eyes, ending his meditation, and saw that his fourth sister, Zhou Shuiyao, was calling. Fourth sister, what's up? Yes, I have something for you. If you're free, come to Jiangbei University. Zhou Shuiyao's soft voice made Qin Feng's ears tingle. He responded immediately. I'll be right there. Hanging up, he walked over to Chen Jinjin's desk. I'm stepping out. If anything comes up, have Mr. Wu handle it. Yes, President Qin. Chen Jinjin stood up quickly, her face a little flushed. Qin Feng gave her a puzzled look, shook his head, and headed out. Jiangbei University was familiar to Qin Feng. He had attended college there but had never seen his fourth sister during his 4 years there. Parking his Santana, Qin Feng headed to Zhou Shuiwei's office. Just as he was about to knock, he heard a man's voice from inside. Shuiwei, I truly love you. Unlike other men, who only see your beauty, I admire your intellect. I pursued you for 4 years, surely you can see my sincerity by now. I don't understand what you're hesitating about. Marry me, please. I swear, I'll love only you and treat you well forever. Zhou Shuiwei's voice, now tinged with coldness, responded, Zhao Jun, enough. You've been pestering me for 4 years. Haven't you given up? I told you, I have no feelings for you. Even if you chase me for 40 years, I'll never feel anything for you. Leave now, I need to prepare for my classes. Zhao Jun, undeterred and slightly agitated, replied, Shuiwei, what do you want me to do? What's wrong with me? Just tell me, and I'll change. I'll make you satisfied. What do you like about me? I'll change that. Zhou Shuiwei retorted angrily. Zhao Jun thought for a second. I like that you don't like me. Can you change that? You. Zhou Shuiwei was speechless. Despite being a top student, she found herself bested in an argument with this man, which was utterly frustrating. Zhao Jun, feeling smug, remembered the bitter path of his 4-year pursuit. None of his efforts had swayed her. Not gifts, not sweet words, not even lavish spending had worked. He had spent nearly $1 million on flowers alone, yet she never once agreed to a date. He had even hinted at his family background, but she remained indifferent. He was tempted to force her into submission but held back. Taking a deep breath, Zhou Shuiwei resorted to her last tactic. Zhao Jun, I already have a boyfriend. Give up. Shuiwei, that's a terrible excuse. I know you better than you know yourself. You can't possibly have a boyfriend. Zhao Jun, his tone increasingly certain, lifted his head proudly. How could any man catch Zhou Shuowei's eye when he, once the campus heartthrob, couldn't? Even now, despite aging a bit, he was still more attractive than most men. His confidence in his looks and knowledge of Zhou Shuowei's dedication to her work reassured him she was single. Outside the door, Qin Feng was annoyed. Just as he arrived, his scholarly sister was being harassed. 4 years of relentless pursuit might sound romantic, but it was really just shameless persistence. Unable to hold back, he pushed the door open, walked to Zhou Shuowei, and wrapped an arm around her shoulder. I'm her boyfriend. Any objections? Zhao Jun was stunned. A moment ago, he was sure Zhou Shuowei had no boyfriend, and now this pretty boy appeared out of nowhere. Damn, he was even more handsome than Zhao Jun. Fuming inside, especially seeing Qin Feng's arm around Zhou Shuowei's shoulder, Zhao Jun's anger flared. He had pursued her for 4 years without ever getting this close. Despite his desire to punch Qin Feng's face, Zhao Jun maintained his gentlemanly demeanor in front of Zhou Shuowei. Who are you? Zhao Jun's tone was hostile. Are you deaf? I said I'm Shuowei's boyfriend, Qin Feng snapped back. Impossible. Shuowei can't have a boyfriend. You must be a fake, hired to get rid of me, Zhao Jun insisted, his emotions agitated. Zhou Shuowei, catching on, despite feeling a bit awkward about Qin Feng's arm around her, leaned into him and said softly, Why are you so late? I've been waiting for you. Qin Feng almost melted at her sweet tone. Zhao Jun, meanwhile, was losing it. In 4 years, Zhou Shuowei had never spoken to him so gently. Her words had always been as cold as ice, stabbing at his heart. I don't believe you. This is all an act. Zhao Jun yelled, slamming a card on the table. This guy must be paid to act as your boyfriend. He turned to Qin Feng, Kid, there's 100,000 on this card. Take it and get lost. Chapter 11, the villa is yours. Damn it. 100,000 yuan? Who does he think he's looking down on? Qin Feng was quite displeased. In the past, he wouldn't even dare to dream of 100,000 yuan. But things were different now. Aside from owning a fantasy company with an annual income of over 100 million, just the balance in his WeChat account was enough to make him a tycoon. Zhao Jun, I'll add another 100,000. Hurry up and get out of here. Qin Feng nonchalantly showed off. It must be said, it felt damn good. Zhao Jun was furious. He couldn't care less about acting like a gentleman in front of Zhou Shuowei anymore. He slammed the table and roared, Kid, don't push your luck. Do you even know who I am? I don't give a damn who you are. If you bother my girlfriend again, I'll make you eat dirt. Qin Feng lost his patience. With a simple raise of his hand, he lifted Zhao Jun's 160-pound body as if he were lifting a chicken, then walked to the door and tossed him out. Thud. Zhao Jun fell to the ground, wearing a bewildered expression. How could this kid have such strength? As he got up, his face darkened. It seemed like the marriage proposal wasn't going to happen today. He glared at Qin Feng, resentment flashing in his eyes. Kid, daring to steal my woman, whether you're genuine or fake, get ready to get beaten. He looked at Zhou Shuowei, seeing her gaze fixed on that pretty boy, not even sparing him a glance. And her eyes were filled with affection, a look he had never seen before. His heart sank. Could this kid really be Zhou Shuowei's boyfriend? The thought of his pursuit for 4 years, never even holding her hand, possibly being replaced by this pretty boy, automatically conjured up a vulgar scene in his mind, with Zhou Shuowei calling out tenderly while her body cooperated sincerely. Zhao Jun's blood boiled with anger. Damn it. Daring to cuckold me, I'll make sure to ruin this kid. And as for Zhou Shuowei, since she's been taken by another man, I'll just have to forcefully claim her. He took out his phone and dialed a number as he walked away. Xiongge, I need a favor. In the office, Zhou Shuowei watched as Qin Feng effortlessly swatted away the annoying fly with one hand, her eyes filled with admiration. Xiaofeng, thank you for helping me out. Qin Feng chuckled. Aren't we girlfriends? How did I become Xiajie again? Honestly, Qin Feng didn't consider Zhou Shuowei as his sister. She was just 2 years older than him. What a pity it would be to treat her like a sister. Treating her as a wife would be the best, but he couldn't say such things. After all, this was only their second meeting, and he didn't want to leave a frivolous impression on this brilliant goddess of study. Hee hee, I was just dealing with that fly. I'm your fourth sister. Zhou Shuawei stood with her hands on her hips, trying to exude the aura of an older sister, but she exerted too much force, causing her assets to shake a bit, almost making Qin Feng's nose bleed. Truly remarkable, not only a study goddess but also a bombshell. Being with such a top-notch goddess was truly torturous. Zhou Shuawei also noticed Qin Feng's gaze, feeling a bit embarrassed. She turned around and sat back in her chair, hiding her embarrassment. For a moment, the atmosphere in the office felt strange. Oh, right, sis, what's the matter you wanted to discuss with me? Qin Feng broke the silence, speaking up. Oh, I almost forgot if you didn't mention it. Zhou Shuawei opened her handbag and took out a bunch of keys. This is the villa the government gave me. You can go live there. Ah. Qin Feng's mouth gaped wide. Looking at Zhou Shuawei, he began to have wild thoughts. What did she mean by sis, wanting to live together? This happiness came too suddenly. Hey, what are you daydreaming about? Your drool is almost dripping. The villa is a bit far from the school, inconvenient for me to attend classes, and it's been empty all this time. Big sister, third sister have both given you gifts, so I can't be stingy. This villa is yours. Seeing Qin Feng's expression, Zhou Shuawei knew he was thinking crookedly. She was both angry and amused, but there was also a hint of pride in her eyes. Zhou Shuawei's words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly extinguishing Qin Feng's fantasies. Coming back to his senses, he was somewhat surprised. The government actually gave fourth sister a villa. It seemed that this study goddess's status was higher than he had imagined. Let's go. I'll take you to see the villa so you won't get lost later. Zhou Shuawei quickly tidied up her desk and stood up, heading towards the door. Qin Feng followed behind her, admiring her graceful figure, his heart burning with passion. He must exert all his efforts to protect such a sister and not let any flies bother her. The two of them arrived at where Qin Feng parked, got into the Santana, and headed for the outskirts of the city. 1 minute later, a Mercedes followed behind the Santana, trailed by several vans. Inside the Mercedes, Zhao Jun gripped the steering wheel tightly, glaring at the Santana ahead. He turned to the burly man in the passenger seat. Xiongge, I'll give you $500,000. Teach that kid a lesson, preferably rendering him incapable of being a man. The burly man extended his pinky into his nostril, deeply engrossed in picking his nose. With a smirk, he replied, Boss Zhao, you can count on me. That kid won't be a man for the rest of his life. As for the girl in his car, be careful not to harm her, Zhao Jun added. The burly man flicked the booger off his finger, smearing it on the windshield. No problem. Zhao Jun looked at the booger on the windshield, feeling disgusted. Damn it, so uncouth. Doesn't he know this car costs over $1 million? But he restrained himself from reacting. After all, they were here to help him. He gritted his teeth, planning to wash the car thoroughly later. Half an hour later, the Santana was nearing the outskirts. The traffic and pedestrians on the road gradually decreased. Xiongge took out a walkie-talkie from his pocket. Heisey, speed up and intercept that kid's car. A noisy response came through the walkie-talkie, then a Wuling Hongguang van behind the Mercedes accelerated with a buzz, swiftly passing by the Mercedes and cutting across the road in front, blocking the way. Ah! Zhou Shuawei screamed, her body tensing up instantly. Qin Feng, however, calmly stepped on the brake. He had known all along that someone was tailing them. A hint of a smile appeared on his face. After waiting for half an hour, was it finally time to act? Chapter 12, Two Choices. Screech. The tires of the car rubbed against the ground violently, emitting a grating sound. Heisey executed a graceful drift, positioning the car across the middle of the road. Then, the doors opened, and 7 young thugs wielding steel pipes emerged. Each one had a cigarette dangling from his mouth, dressed flamboyantly with tattoos adorning their arms and chests. Their eyes conveyed disdain and arrogance, exuding an aura of unruliness. Meanwhile, 2 Jinbei vans blocked the Santana from behind, and 6 people from each van got out, surrounding the Santana. Get out of the car! One of the young thugs swung his steel pipe at the Santana's rear, shouting fiercely. Xiaofeng, quick! Call the police! Zhou Shuawei was frightened by the scene. Despite her excellence and scholarly demeanor, at the end of the day, she was just a girl, and a soft and innocent one at that. She had never encountered such a situation before. Qin Feng patted her trembling hand, comforting her. Shoo away, stay in the car and don't move. I'll go talk to them. Xiaofeng, don't, there are so many of them, you'll get hurt. Zhou Shuawei hurriedly grabbed Qin Feng's arm, preventing him from getting out. Don't worry, these punks can't hurt me. Qin Feng smiled confidently, his handsome smile captivating Zhou Shuawei. Suddenly, she felt inexplicably confident in Qin Feng. She let go of his arm. Qin Feng stepped out of the car, leaning against the door as he looked at the young thug who had smashed his car's tail. He said leisurely, I just bought this car. If you damage it, you owe me 200,000. You won't get away with it. Ha ha, brothers, did you hear what this kid said? He wants us to pay him 200,000, it's hilarious. The thug laughed as he swung the pipe again. Qin Feng took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, flicked his finger at the bottom of the pack, and a cigarette flew out, landing perfectly in his mouth. He lit it, exhaling a smoke ring. 400,000. The young thugs were surprised to see Qin Feng facing more than 20 of them without a hint of fear. On the contrary, he appeared calm and composed. They couldn't help but feel suspicious. If it were anyone else, they would have been scared witless by now. Could this kid have some backing? These young thugs were not foolish. They all looked towards Xiongge, who was sitting in the Mercedes, still picking his nose. Xiongge flicked away another booger, got out of the car, and beckoned. Instantly, a lackey ran over and lit a cigar for him. At this moment, he had transformed from a booger picker into a cigar boss, his whole demeanor completely different. Kid, Boss Zhao is willing to buy your manhood. You have two choices, cut it off yourself or let me do it for you. Take your pick. Zhao Jun also got out of the car, holding a piece of paper wrapped around the booger Xiongge had flicked onto the windshield. He spread the paper on the ground, looking at Qin Feng with a sinister smile. You have another choice, crawl over here on your knees and eat this thing off the paper. I might consider letting you off. This was his impromptu plan to humiliate Qin Feng. Cutting off certain body parts might lead to fatalities if not done carefully, which wouldn't end well. This method seemed more suitable. Inside the car, Zhou Shuawei heard this and instantly felt anger surging in her heart. Her face turned cold. As a seasoned sister Khan, she wouldn't allow anyone to insult Qin Feng. Ignoring the danger, she got out of the car and pointed at Zhao Jun, rebuking him. Zhao Jun, you bastard. I warn you, if you dare to mess around, I'll make sure you end up in jail. Zhao Jun snorted, his face filled with mockery. Zhou Shuawei, oh Zhou Shuawei, I used to indulge you because I was pursuing you, hoping to get you into bed. But now, I've lost patience. Do you think I'll still indulge you? I'll make you see how this pretty boy you found kneels before me, begging. And I'll make him watch as I play with you, ha. As Zhao Jun spoke triumphantly, he burst into laughter, already imagining scenes of intimacy with Zhou Shuawei. His blood boiled with excitement. You shameless. Zhou Shuawei's delicate face turned crimson upon hearing Zhao Jun's vulgar language. She wished she could rush up and bite this shameless scoundrel. Qin Feng's gaze turned cold. Zhao Jun was simply asking for trouble. It seemed the lesson Qin Feng gave him at school wasn't enough. His eyes fell on the paper on the ground, recognizing the dozen or so booger-like nose debris. He smiled coldly. With a flick of his finger, a surge of true qi shot out, lifting the paper and shooting it towards Zhao Jun's mouth. Ugh! Zhao Jun's laughter abruptly ceased as the paper flew down his throat. Ugh! He felt nauseous, retching uncontrollably. Beside him, Gao Xiong was stunned. There was no wind, so how did the paper fly into Zhao Boss's mouth and get swallowed? How much did he love his boogers? Maybe Gao Xiong could give him some more in the future. Ignoring Zhao Jun's retching, Gao Xiong's eyes locked onto Lu Han. 50,000 was within reach. How could he let it slip away? With a wave of his hand, he commanded, "Disable him." Immediately, 19 young thugs, wearing vicious grins, approached Qin Feng from both directions. Zhou Shuawei's heart clenched as she started to think of a plan. These people were only after money. Thinking quickly, she shouted, "How much did Zhao Jun give you?" "I'll double it." Gao Xiong tapped the cigar ash with his finger, shaking off some ash. He replied seriously, "You really underestimate me, Gao Xiong. We value integrity. Of course, if you want to pay after we finish Zhao Jun's task, we can also beat him up for you." Thump, Thump, thump. The young thugs closed in rapidly, wielding their steel pipes. Qin Feng smiled. "Shoo away, there's nothing to say to them, just watch." With that, Qin Feng infused true qi into his feet and executed the Tenglong step he had learned from his martial arts practice. In a blink, he disappeared from his original position. Although Qin Feng had only just begun to learn this footwork, it was more than enough to deal with these ruffians. The thugs only felt a blur before losing consciousness. Clang, clang, clang. The steel pipes fell to the ground. In less than half a minute, all 19 young thugs were lying on the ground. Plap. Gao Xiong's cigar fell from his mouth, his face wearing a bewildered expression. Was this a movie? He couldn't even see clearly what had happened, all his underlings were down. Was this something a normal person could do? Seeing the opponent's handsome appearance, he didn't expect him to be such a ruthless person. Gao Xiong regretted deeply. Thud. He didn't hesitate to kneel down. "Sir, I was blind and offended you. I hope you can spare me this time." Chapter 13, Villa in the Lake. Kaoshang, adaptable and resilient, swiftly kneels when the situation demands. With years of social experience, he discerns well whom to provoke and whom to avoid. The handsome youth before him effortlessly neutralizes over a dozen of his henchmen, a force he dare not provoke. Prostrated, his body trembling slightly, Kaoshang recalls the sudden appearance of the paper in Zhao Jun's mouth, a gesture devoid of any warning. Coupled with Zhao Jun's earlier words, dread grips him tighter. To manipulate paper into Zhao Jun's mouth from such a distance requires an unparalleled mastery. To think he must confront such a master. Kaoshang loathes himself for targeting a master of such caliber. Desiring to strike himself, Kaoshang glares angrily at the bewildered Zhao Jun nearby, yearning to thrash him. Yet he dares not move, fearing to provoke the skilled master and forfeit his own life. Meanwhile, Zhao Jun's nausea yields to profound fear. He never imagined Zhou Shuowei's boyfriend to possess such prowess. Kaoshang's lackeys, though ordinary, seasoned in countless skirmishes, now lie defeated at the blink of an eye. Quivering, a sudden urge to urinate overtakes him, his face drained of color. He stands motionless, legs as if laden with lead, unable to budge. Beside him, Zhou Shuowei is dumbfounded. Her rosy lips slightly agape, inviting affection, her eyes filled with astonishment, exuding a charming innocence. Didn't Big Sis say Xiao Feng was just an ordinary person? How could he possess such remarkable skill? Gazing at Qin Feng's sharply defined profile, Zhou Shuowei feels her heart racing, a fiery sensation coursing through her body, a reaction she's never experienced in the presence of the opposite sex. Qin Feng lights another cigarette, observing the kneeling Kaoshang, and calmly remarks, "As I mentioned, this car is newly purchased, worth 200,000 smashed. I'll compensate, a total of 400,000, I'll compensate immediately." Kaoshang interjects, though internally bleeding, having lost money instead of profiting, resenting the henchman who damaged the car. Pleased with Kaoshang's compliance, Qin Feng doesn't press further. Instead, he asks, "Zhao Jun targeted my sister, wanted me to see. Do you know what to do?" Kaoshang nods repeatedly, "Understood, I understand." With that, he rises, strides to Zhao Jun's side, a dagger appearing in his right hand. With a glint of cold steel and a flash of blood, Zhao Jun's trousers are slashed, a bloody mass dropping to the ground. Ah! Agonizing pain courses through Zhao Jun's body, rendering him unconscious, a pool of blood quickly forming beneath him. Qin Feng's facial muscles twitch. He didn't expect Kaoshang to directly castrate Zhao Jun. Is this guy specifically trained in such matters? Truly swift, precise, and ruthless. Enough, take him to the hospital, get lost. Qin Feng's words grant Kaoshang clemency. After transferring 400,000 via WeChat, Kaoshang stuffs Zhao Jun into the Mercedes-Benz and swiftly departs. As for his unconscious henchman, he cares little at this moment. "Let's go." Qin Feng called out to the still-dazed Zhou Shuowei and they got back into the car. "Xiao Feng, how did you become so formidable?" In the car, Zhou Shuowei's eyes fixated on Qin Feng, her expression resembling that of a curious child. Qin Feng smiled, "Give me a kiss, and I'll tell you." Zhou Shuowei hesitated, not expecting Qin Feng to make such a request. Her face flushed slightly, mixed with a hint of embarrassment. After all, she was his older sister. However, after a brief pause, she leaned over and lightly pecked Qin Feng's cheek. "Now, can you tell me?" Zhou Shuawei straightened up, attempting to steady her breath, avoiding thoughts of the chaotic situation. In truth, I've practiced martial arts since childhood, hence my prowess. Xin Feng casually fabricated a reason, not because he wanted to conceal anything from Zhou Shuawei, but revealing the truth about acquiring techniques from the Jade Pendant sounded too far-fetched to be believed by anyone. After another 10 minutes of driving, they arrived at a lakeside, where Zhou Shuawei's villa was located. At the first sight of the villa, Xin Feng was astounded. The villa was directly built in the center of the lake, connected to the shore by a long corridor. Both sides of the lakeshore were adorned with various flowers and trees, creating a picturesque scene, breathtaking in its beauty. In the lake, numerous fish and shrimp could be seen, while ducks and egrets roamed the surface, resembling a utopia. It was hard to imagine such a splendid place being awarded to fourth sister by the government. One wonders what contribution she made to the country. Why are you standing there foolishly? Let's go, this will be yours from now on. Zhou Shuawei nudged Xin Feng, and the two walked along the corridor towards the villa's center in the lake. The entire villa occupied an area of over 2,000 square meters, with 3 above-ground floors and an additional underwater floor resembling an oceanarium, showcasing various fish species. The first floor featured an enormous luxurious living room and an open-plan kitchen dining area, all equipped with high-tech gadgets, giving it a futuristic feel. The walls could even be converted into transparent panels, allowing views of the lake from inside while concealing the interior from outside. This alone thrilled Xin Feng immensely. He had only seen such high-tech features on TV before, making this his first real-life encounter. The second floor comprised a study, gym, conference room, and other multifunctional recreational areas, offering a variety of activities without leaving the house. The third floor housed numerous bedrooms, totaling over a dozen. Although the villa was spacious and luxurious, living alone here might evoke some loneliness. No wonder fourth sister was unwilling to live here. However, Xin Feng didn't mind, on the contrary, he quite liked it. Because it was far from the urban area, sparsely populated, with a richer spiritual energy than the city, perfect for his cultivation. How do you like it? Zhou Shuawei brewed a cup of coffee, sitting on the sofa and asking. I love it, fourth sister, are you really giving this villa to me? Xin Feng sat opposite Zhou Shuawei. Of course, I mean what I say. You can stay here tonight. Hee, then I won't be polite. Thank you, sis. Xin Feng smiled, spent some time in the villa, had lunch with Zhou Shuawei, dropped her back at school, then eagerly headed home. He needed to tidy up some essentials. Tonight, he would stay at the Grand Villa. Just thinking about it made him excited. Chapter 14, Queen Sister. Humming a tune, Xin Feng took out his keys, ready to inform Lin Yutong that they would be staying at the Grand Villa tonight. However, the scene before him left him dumbfounded. The house looked ransacked, a mess strewn all over, with the glass door of the bathroom shattered on the floor. Xin Feng's heart sank. Something's wrong. Lin Yutong had mentioned yesterday that she was abducted by an underground big shot from Jiangnan to become his wife. She managed to escape, but the current state of the house clearly indicated a fierce struggle, and Xin Feng could even envision Lin Yutong hiding in the bathroom, only to be dragged out. His hands clenched involuntarily, anger rising from the depths of his heart. Although he hadn't known Lin Yutong for long, he had a great fondness for her. Unlike his other 7 sisters, she might not be a top-tier beauty, but the more he looked at her, the more pleasing she became. Moreover, Lin Yutong had taught him medical skills, akin to being his teacher. How could Xin Feng possibly ignore her plight? He dialed Zhou Shuawei's number, and after a few seconds, he heard Zhou Shuawei's soft voice. Stinky little brother, already missing your sister after partying for a while? Xin Feng wasn't in the mood to banter with Zhou Shuawei at this moment. He spoke in a solemn tone, fourth sister, I need sixth sister's phone number. Zhou Shuawei, on the other end of the line, paused, sensing that Xin Feng's tone was off. She hurriedly asked, Xiao Feng, has something happened? No, I just want to meet sixth sister in Jiangnan. Alright, I'll send it to you. Zhou Shuawei didn't ask further, knowing she shouldn't interfere too much in Xin Feng's life to avoid his resentment. Shortly after, Xin Feng's phone vibrated, displaying a string of numbers, the mobile number of sixth sister, Ling Shuang. Xin Feng didn't know much about this sixth sister, but since she was the queen of the underground world in Jiangnan, seeking her help should lead to finding Lin Yutong quickly. He just wasn't sure if she was currently occupied with expanding her territory with her underlings and if she had time for him. Taking a deep breath, Xin Feng dialed the number, and after a while, a lazy voice came from the phone. Who's this? Sixth sister, it's me, Xin Feng. Xiao Feng? The lazy tone vanished from the phone, replaced by a somewhat excited female voice. Xiaofeng, didn't expect you to call sister. Is it because you're blaming sister for not visiting you? Don't worry, once things are settled here, I'll come find you immediately. It's been 10 years since we last met, sister really misses you. A warm feeling washed over Qin Feng's heart. Although he had long forgotten what this sixth sister looked like, hearing her voice instantly evoked a sense of familiarity. Sixth sister, I'm coming to Jiangnan for a visit. I need your help with something. Alright, when are you coming? I'll pick you up. Ling Shuang didn't inquire about the matter, simply agreeing. I'll take the next flight over. After Qin Feng finished speaking, he hung up the phone. 2 hours later, Qin Feng emerged from Jiangnan Airport and immediately spotted Ling Shuang, who had come to pick him up. She was truly eye-catching, it was impossible not to notice her. Ling Shuang, clad in a tight red leather jacket, leaned against a modified Hummer, a cigarette dangling from her red lips. Delicate fingers held the cigarette, taking a puff before exhaling, exuding a seductive charm. What captured everyone's attention even more was the V-shaped neckline of her leather jacket, cut low enough to draw the gaze of every passing man. Ling Shuang didn't care about these men's stares, in fact, she wasn't even wearing a bra. All that mattered to her was her own comfort. The tight leather pants accentuated her long, slender legs. One foot was planted firmly on the ground, while the other rested on the Hummer's hood, displaying her dominance. Her face was hidden behind a pair of sunglasses, emanating an air of a big sister. As soon as she caught sight of Qin Feng, her eyes lit up, impressed by her little brother's handsomeness. Removing her sunglasses, she revealed a stunning face, waving her right hand toward Qin Feng. Xiaofeng, over here. As Ling Shuang waved her arm, her chest also began to bounce, causing the peeping men to keep swallowing saliva. Qin Feng had already spotted Ling Shuang, and amidst the envious and jealous gazes of the crowd, he walked over, obediently saying, "Sixth sister." Ling Shuang reached out and pinched Qin Feng's cheek. It's been 10 years, and I didn't expect you to grow up so handsome. You even make sister a little tempted, he. Qin Feng hadn't expected Ling Shuang to tease him as soon as she arrived, feeling somewhat awkward. It was mainly because of Ling Shuang's attire, which inadvertently drew his gaze to places he shouldn't be looking. Judging by appearances, Ling Shuang seemed slightly younger than Xu Weiwei, but her figure was even more perfect. How are all his sisters goddesses of this caliber? They were too perfect. After pinching Qin Feng's cheek, Ling Shuang then wrapped her arm around his shoulder, with the air of a good brother, and said with a smile, "Let's go, visit sister's territory." With that, the two got into the car. After more than 10 minutes, the Hummer came to a stop, and before them stood a skyscraper. Ling Shuang said, "This is sister's office, impressive, isn't it?" Qin Feng looked over. The skyscraper was over 100 stories tall, entirely clad in glass walls that shimmered under the sunlight, outshining the nearby buildings. He asked in confusion, "Office? Sister, aren't you the queen of the underground world? Why do you need an office? You don't understand, do you? Things are different now. Although violence is unavoidable, negotiation is also crucial. I bought this skyscraper for negotiations, and I also have some companies located here." Qin Feng felt like his mind wasn't enough to process all this. Buying a skyscraper for negotiations seemed too exaggerated. His sisters were indeed extraordinary people, with such boldness and methods that were beyond imagination. Entering the building, Qin Feng realized he was mistaken. The actual negotiation area was only one floor, and Ling Shuang had rented out the rest of the floors. The annual rent alone amounted to billions. It seemed his sixth sister wasn't just about violence, she also had a keen business mind. Upon reaching the top floor, as soon as the elevator doors opened, 2 men in suits by the door immediately bowed their heads and loudly greeted, "Hello, big sister." Ling Shuang resumed her demeanor as the queen of the underground world, letting out a soft mm and led Qin Feng towards the office. Along the way, almost every 10 meters, they could see men in black suits. Clearly, this place was Ling Shuang's headquarters, with extremely tight security. "Xiaofeng, why are you so eager to find sister? What's the matter?" Ling Shuang asked once they were seated in the office. "A friend of mine has been kidnapped by a big shot from Jiangnan. I've come to rescue her." "Someone dares to kidnap your friend? Tell sister, who is he? Sister will take care of him for you." Chapter 15, Territory Battle. In just a sentence, Ling Shuang's domineering demeanor was evident, showing no concern for the identity of the other party. As long as it involved Qin Feng, it meant provoking her cough. I don't even know who he is? That's why I came to ask Sister Lu for help. Qin Feng said somewhat awkwardly. During last night's chat, Lin Yutong didn't mention the name of the big shot to him, leaving him completely in the dark. Not knowing who? That's a bit troublesome. Ling Shuang furrowed her brows. The underworld in Jiangnan was not a unified entity. Besides her, there were 4 other big shots. Although her territory was the largest, her henchmen were the most numerous, and her strength was the most formidable. The other 4 big shots might not necessarily give her face. In essence, Ling Shuang was a woman, capable of fighting, but these big shots still looked down on her somewhat from the core. Sister Lu, are you in a difficult position? Should I find a way myself? Qin Feng didn't want to see Ling Shuang too troubled. What's so difficult about this? Ling Shuang suddenly smiled. I'll immediately gather my henchmen, and we'll search house by house. We'll definitely find your friend. Hearing Ling Shuang's words, Qin Feng was stunned. Searching house by house would mean stirring up the entire underworld in Jiangnan. She truly deserved the title of Queen Sister, displaying such dominance. Furthermore, it was evident that she was deeply devoted to her younger brother. Just because he wanted to find a friend, she was willing to go to such lengths. Sister, wouldn't this be a bit inappropriate? Qin Feng hadn't finished speaking when Ling Shuang slammed the table. It settled. Qin Feng was at a loss for words. He wondered if Sister Lu had already planned this but just lacked an excuse now. It seemed she could rightfully cause trouble. Since Ling Shuang had made up her mind, Qin Feng wouldn't oppose it. He was very worried about Lin Yutong now and wanted to rescue her as soon as possible. Ling Shuang's efficiency was remarkable. As soon as the order was given, vans started streaming out of the parking lot of the building. Qin Feng finally got to witness what a grand scene looked like. Over 100 vans paraded through the streets, commanding respect from other vehicles and pedestrians alike. Upon seeing this massive convoy, the people of Jiangnan knew that Queen Ling had taken action once again, wondering who would suffer this time. Ling Shuang and Qin Feng sat in the back of a Hummer, extremely conspicuous amidst the encirclement of vans. Sister, with such a massive convoy, won't the relevant authorities intervene? Qin Feng asked. Ling Shuang wore a beautiful smile on her face as she pinched Qin Feng's cheek. My silly little brother, I've been operating in Jiangnan for 10 years. I've already established connections in various aspects. Besides, we're just driving normally, not obstructing traffic. Who would bother us? Qin Feng felt a bit annoyed. It seemed Sister Lu enjoyed pinching his cheek a lot. He really wanted to pinch back, but it didn't seem appropriate, so he refrained. In the Weiyan district of Jiangnan, underworld big shot Han Song lay on a massage bed with his eyes closed, relishing the moment. A scantily clad woman straddled his waist, giving him a full-body massage. Ah, so comfortable, Han Song uttered, feeling utterly euphoric. Sire, bad news. Just then, with a thud, the door burst open, and a henchman rushed in frantically. Han Song instantly grew irritated. He detested people barging in without knocking. He reprimanded, how many times do I have to tell you? Knock before entering, where's your manners? Get out and come back properly. The henchman was sweating profusely, but dared not defy the boss's orders. He exited, knocked 3 times, and only entered upon hearing Han Song's voice. What's the rush? Han Song asked with his eyes closed. Sire, Ling Shuang and her men are coming to kill us, less than 10 li away from here. What? Han Song abruptly rose, flipping the woman massaging him onto the floor. He slapped the henchman's face in frustration. Why didn't you say so earlier? Hurry, gather the brothers. The henchman felt unjust. He was about to say it earlier, but you insisted on making me go out and knock again. But he dared not voice this and hurriedly ran out. Han Song hastily dressed, his mind racing. The turf war just ended not long ago. Why is Ling Shuang stirring trouble again? She already controls 12 out of Jiangnan's 18 districts, isn't that enough? Is she coming to snatch my turf? A fierce gleam flashed in his eye. She was trying to wipe him out completely. When a rabbit's in a hurry, it bites. She really thought he was an easy target. Han Song strode out. Outside, a dense crowd of henchmen had gathered. He shouted loudly, that vile woman Ling Shuang wants to snatch our turf. Let's fight. Let's fight. The henchmen roared in unison, then, led by Han Song, marched out aggressively. About 100 meters from Han Song's turf, Ling Shuaying's convoy came to a halt. Over 700 people stood behind Ling Shuaying, not a word spoken, all silently facing forward. Xin Feng felt his adrenaline surge. He had never experienced such a large-scale brawl before. Even the gang fights he saw on TV, at most, involved a few dozen people. Now, there were over 700 people on his side soon. Han Song appeared with 200 or 300 henchmen. Upon seeing the endless stream of Ling Shuaying's henchmen, Han Song's face twitched. This woman was truly insane, bringing so many people to attack him. But he was, after all, a big shot himself. He had fought for his turf with real blood and steel. Though the other side had more people, he couldn't show any weakness. He shouted, "Ling Shuaying, what's the meaning of bringing so many people to my turf? Do you want to wipe us out?" Ling Shuaying stepped forward, exuding a powerful aura, and arrogantly replied, "Han Song, I'm here today to ask for someone from you. As long as you hand over the person, I'll leave immediately. Otherwise, it will indeed be a fight to the death." Han Song was bewildered. "Someone? Who did she want?" "I don't know who you're talking about," he said. Xin Feng spoke up, "A woman, very beautiful, skilled in medicine, named Lin Yutong." Han Song searched through his mind for anyone matching that description but shook his head. "Never heard of her," he said, then turned to his henchmen. "Does anyone here know this person?" The henchmen all shook their heads. "You see, we don't have the person you're looking for here." "You better leave," Han Song said. "Humph, if you don't hand her over, I'll fight until you do," Ling Shuaying declared, waving her hand and ordering, "Get rid of them." "Damn it, I told you we don't have her. Can't you understand human language? Brothers, let's fight them," Han Song shouted, commanding his men to charge forward, while he quietly retreated. Chapter 16, Three parties join forces. With over 700 against 200, the outcome was never in doubt. Neither Ling Shuaying nor Xin Feng needed to intervene, and the battle ended within half an hour. Han Song's henchmen were left bruised and battered, with some suffering broken limbs as the worst outcome, but there were no fatalities. After all, having fought numerous battles, they knew where to draw the linneas for Han Song. Sensing the danger, he had already fled long ago. Seeing the fight end, Ling Shuaying took out her phone and dialed a number. "Have Guitian bring people to take over Han Song's turf. If Han Song's men want to submit, they can stay. If not, drive them all out of the Weiyun district." After hanging up the phone, Ling Shuaying said, "Let's go, on to the next one." Leaving behind over 100 injured, Ling Shuaying led her 600-plus men towards the Haiquan district. In the Haiquan district of Jiangnan. Inside a luxurious villa, Lin Yutong was imprisoned in a room, bound to a bed in a spread-eagle position, tears silently streaming down her cheeks. She had been captured for over 10 hours now. Luo Tianhao had ordered her to be tied up here, waiting for him to finish his business before coming back to deal with her. Lin Yutong's heart was filled with immense sorrow. She knew she couldn't escape. She wanted to end her life, but the thought of her grandfather's unsolved murder made her choose to endure the pain. Bang. The door was kicked open, and Luo Tianhao, reeking of alcohol, walked in. Seeing Lin Yutong on the bed, a sinister smile crept onto his face. "You tried to escape, huh? Let me see you try again." With that, he pounced on her, pinching Lin Yutong's face. "I've been accommodating to you, not even touching you once. I didn't expect you'd dare to run away. Tonight, I'll make you officially mine." Rip! Luo Tianhao tore off Lin Yutong's clothes, revealing her milky white skin, which ignited a burning desire in him. "If you dare insult me, from now on, I won't treat your subordinates anymore." Lin Yutong's face was pale, her eyes filled with shame and indignation. Though she was still wearing her underwear, she felt as if she had been stripped bare. "Ha, you slut, do you think I'll still believe you? Whether I treat you or not, tonight I'll make you beg for mercy." Luo Tianhao chuckled, tearing off his own clothes, revealing his muscular upper body covered in various scars, giving him a ferocious appearance. He took out a small bottle of liquid and poured it into Lin Yutong's mouth, chuckling, "Beautiful, this is the latest product. I'll make you scream so loud later that everyone in the villa will hear you. Let them know how much you're enjoying yourself." Ha ha ha. Luo Tianhao's hands roamed over Lin Yutong's face, his excitement reaching its peak. "Luo Tianhao, you'll die a miserable death, and even in the afterlife, I won't let you off." Lin Yutong knew there was no escape from her fate. She no longer thought about seeking revenge, silently whispering, "Grandfather, I'm sorry," before trying to bite her tongue to end her life. Want to die? Have you asked for my permission? Luo Tianhao pointed to a pressure point on Lin Yutong's cheek, numbing her entire face, rendering her unable to bite down. He leaned down to sniff Lin Yutong's neck, his face filled with ecstasy. "Beautiful, you smell so good. Enjoy yourself, my dear." Just then, his phone rang. Luo Tianhao initially didn't want to answer it, as he was about to indulge in Lin Yutong, but upon seeing the caller ID, he changed his mind and picked it up. "Old Han, what made you think of calling me? Do you have some money-making opportunity in mind?" From the other end of the line came Han Song's hoarse voice. "Luo Tianhao, Ling Shuang has raided my turf. I've lost everything. You're her next target. Good luck." After the call, Han Song hung up and sent Luo Tianhao a video of Ling Shuang leading her men to seize his turf. Luo Tianhao shuddered, the fiery excitement quickly dissipating. He hurriedly left the room, gritting his teeth. What is this woman up to again? Is she really determined to wipe us all out before she stops? I'm not so easy to mess with. He made 2 phone calls and then gathered his henchmen, preparing for a decisive battle with Ling Shuang. Qin Feng asked inside the Hummer, "Are you trying to use this opportunity to unify the entire underworld of Jiangnan?" "Haha, you've guessed it," Ling Shuang elegantly drew on her cigarette, smiling. "I've had this plan for a while. This time, I'll use this opportunity to wipe them all out. Only then can I truly deserve the title of Queen of the Jiangnan underworld." Qin Feng sighed inwardly. His 6th sister was indeed different from other women. She was enthusiastic about the power struggles of the underworld. Even if she unified the country, such power was not permitted to exist. Once the country cracked down, everything would be destroyed. How powerful could one be? It was still not acceptable to confront the country. Wouldn't it be better to be an honest landlady? Why engage in such dangerous affairs? "Boss, we've entered Luo Tianhao's territory," the driver reminded. Ling Shuang nodded. "Inform the others. Luo Tianhao is extremely cunning. Tell them to be careful." The convoy stopped, and over 600 people disembarked, their imposing presence evident. Just as Ling Shuang was about to lead them to attack Luo Tianhao's villa, numerous spotlights suddenly lit up, illuminating Ling Shuang and her people as if it were daytime in the pitch-black night. Then Luo Tianhao's voice rang out. "Ling Shuang, we've always kept our hands off each other's business. Yet you bring people to try and take my turf. Since you're here today, don't think about leaving." As he spoke, countless young men wielding steel pipes and iron rods appeared from all directions, surrounding Ling Shuang and her 600-plus men. Shortly after, the crowd parted, and 3 figures walked out from behind. In the center was Luo Tianhao himself, flanked by 2 men, each with a large pompadour hairstyle, exuding extraordinary momentum. They were the other 2 big shots, Chen Zhanyang and Tang Xinghan. Individually, none of them could match Ling Shuang's influence. But together, they surpassed her. Normally, these big shots would never unite. But when Luo Tianhao sent them the video, Chen Zhanyang and Tang Xinghan both came with their men. United we stand, divided we fall. If they didn't unite, Ling Shuang would pick them off one by one. By then, the entire Jiangnan 18 districts would be under Ling Shuang's control, and these big shots would be finished. Seeing the surrounding youth, numbering no less than 1,000, Ling Shuang's expression remained unchanged. With a slight smile, she said, "Since you're all here, it saves me the trouble of finding you one by one. The past grievances will all be settled today." "Well said. Once we defeat you, the Jiangnan underworld will be divided among our 3 families. By then, it will be your time of death," Luo Tianhao said, his gaze fixed on Ling Shuang, licking his lips with excitement. "However, if you let me play for one night, I might consider sparing your life." Chapter 17, The Queen's Overbearing Aura. As Luo Tianhao uttered these words, the entire atmosphere in the space instantly turned icy, emanating from Ling Shuang herself. As the underground queen of Jiangnan, no man had ever dared to suggest playing with her for a night. Her slender eyes narrowed, and her seductive crimson lips curled dangerously. Standing beside her, Qin Feng couldn't help but shiver. In that moment, he truly felt the power of Sister Lu. Previously puzzled about how a woman could lead this group of men, he now realized that Ling Shuang was no ordinary martial artist. "Young brother, return to the car. I fear there may be a skirmish later, and I won't have time to attend to you, Ling Shuang spoke, her voice turning frigid. It seemed that Luo Tianhao's words had indeed angered her. Qin Feng was speechless. He wasn't some weakling in need of protection. Just as he was about to speak, Ling Shuang spoke again. Behave, this is no jest. This time, her tone grew stern. Qin Feng could only open the car door and sit in the driver's seat. Ling Shuang's gaze, filled with murderous intent, turned towards Luo Tianhao. She licked her red lips and sneered, "Want to play with me? Let's see if you have the guts. Come." With her words, more than 600 of her men behind her erupted into roars, charging towards the opposing group. Even though the opposing side outnumbered them, they showed no fear. They had heard Luo Tianhao's words, daring to think of sleeping with their perfect queen. It was outrageous. At that moment, they unleashed 200% of their fighting spirit. Like frenzied beasts, they roared and howled, ready to tear apart everything in their path. Kill them. Luo Tianhao commanded, and instantly, over 1,000 men from the underlings of the three bosses also roared and charged as if injected with chicken blood. From a high vantage point, one could see the two groups colliding like torrents, with countless sounds erupting upon contact. The clashing of steel pipes, the screams of those being beaten, the thud of bodies hitting the ground, and the wails of pain filled the air. Although Ling Shuang's men had their fighting spirit ignited, they were at a numerical disadvantage. Initially, they could hold their own, but as casualties increased, they were gradually suppressed by the opposing side. Seeing this situation, the triumvirate of Luo Tianhao wore smug smiles. Their 6 eyes all turned towards Ling Shuang, curious about her reaction. But they saw Ling Shuang leaning against the car calmly, lighting a cigarette with elegance. Supporting her right elbow with her left hand, she took a leisurely puff. Well, still in the mood for a smoke. It seems Queen Ling has given up resistance. That's good. Fighting and killing are not suitable for women. What do you say? Consider my suggestion from earlier? Luo Tianhao smirked, oozing with confidence. With a gentle smile, Ling Shuang caused all three bosses to stare dumbfounded. This woman was simply too beautiful, exuding a wild and domineering aura. A woman like her, if conquered, if one could enjoy her tender affections beneath them, it would bring immense satisfaction, even greater than seizing territory, a sense of accomplishment. Just as the three bosses were mesmerized, Ling Shuang flicked her cigarette towards the battling gang members. The ember flipped, flying into the air. Then, she moved. Qin Feng finally understood why Ling Shuang chose to wear tight leather clothes and pants. They were perfect for combat. She was like a red leopard, instantly plunging into the midst of the opposing gang members. With a touch to her lower leg, 2 short spikes fell into her hands. A casual swipe, and tendons of 2 opposing gang members were severed, blood splattering. Ling Shuang gracefully turned, leaving the spot before the blood could reach her. With a swift jab downward, 2 more of the opposing gang members fell to the ground, their feet pierced. The 3 bosses were dumbfounded. While they knew Ling Shuang was strong, they hadn't expected her to be this formidable. Hundreds of men were completely outmatched in her presence. Tap, stab, slash, pick, jab. The 2 short spikes in Ling Shuang's hands left behind a trail of afterimages with each strike, rendering 2 opposing gang members incapacitated with every blow. By the time she stopped, not a single one of the opposing gang members could stand. The entire process took just 1 minute. At this moment, the cigarette she flicked earlier flew above her head. Ling Shuang reached out, caught it between her fingers, and took a leisurely puff. Exhaling a stream of smoke calmly, she seemed unaffected, as if the fallen gang members were not her doing. Qin Feng, sitting in the Hummer, was awestruck. What is dominance? This is dominance. Though he could see Ling Shuang's movements, he had to admit they were incomparable. He couldn't possibly defeat over 100 people in 1 minute. His scalp tingled. He hadn't imagined Sister Lu to be this extraordinary. She didn't even have more internal energy than him. Luo Tianhao and his 2 companions were even more stunned, their faces filled with disbelief. How? How is this possible? In such a short time, she had dealt with all the men they brought. Was she possessed by a superhuman? Ling Shuang looked at the 3 bosses, causing their sphincters to clench involuntarily. Luo Tianhao's voice trembled. Why you? Don't act recklessly. Don't. Think you've won WE. We also have experts. Oh, really? Then bring them out. If I don't incapacitate you three today, my name isn't Ling, Ling Shuang scoffed, tossing the cigarette but on the ground with disdain. You. Just wait, Luo Tianhao said, then turned towards the villa and respectfully exclaimed, Mr. Wu, we can only ask for your intervention. Chen Zhengyang and Tang Xinghan also turned, bowing slightly and calling out, we ask for Mr. Wu's intervention. 3 people teaming up can't even defeat a woman. You're truly worthless, came a calm voice from the villa, followed by the slow appearance of a figure. Luo Tianhao and his companions dared not feel any dissatisfaction at being called worthless. They had paid a hefty price to invite Mr. Wu out of seclusion. It's just that they hadn't encountered an opportunity to enlist this master's help until today. Wu Quan, dressed in Zhongshan suit, hands behind his back, walked leisurely. He had a plain appearance, but exuded a faint aura of menace. Seeing Wu Quan emerge, Luo Tianhao and his companions regained their confidence. Pointing at Ling Shuang, they shouted. Ling Shuang, you think you're tough? This Mr. Wu is a first-class expert. Your time is up. Ling Shuang, always composed, now had a slightly grave expression. She could sense that the man in front of her was also a martial artist with cultivated internal energy, just like her. She hadn't expected Luo Tianhao to be able to enlist someone like him. It seemed that a fierce battle was inevitable. Chapter 18, Venting for My Sister. I am Wu Quan, a disciple of Wudong. If I'm not mistaken, you just used the Yamei stab, Wu Quan spoke, his tone indifferent, his expression cold. Facing such a stunning beauty like Ling Shuang, his demeanor remained unchanged. The seriousness in Ling Shuang's eyes deepened. By revealing her martial arts skills, it seemed this man was indeed extraordinary. However, as the underground queen of Jiangnan, she would never back down coldly. She asked, are you intending to meddle in our underground affairs? Heh, it's not really meddling. Luo Tianhao invited me to keep the peace. Encountering a skilled individual like you, I naturally had to step in, Wu Quan said, extending his right hand from behind his left, gesturing disdainfully. Please. Ling Shuang was instantly angered. Despite being a skilled martial artist herself, it was clear that the other party intended to challenge her with one hand, a blatant insult. She stretched out both hands, the short spikes returning to her grasp, and swiftly charged towards Wu Quan. In the blink of an eye, she reached Wu Quan's side, the short spikes flashing with chilling light as she thrust them forward. Heh, your speed is too slow, Wu Quan chuckled indifferently, displaying the demeanor of a master. His lower body remained still, while his upper body subtly shifted, causing the short spikes to brush past his chest, seemingly perilous, but it had long been calculated by Wu Quan, and he remained unscathed. Ling Shuang let out a cry, the short spikes flying up and down in her hands. Truly like a startled swan darting through the willows, the stabs resembling relentless spirits. The pair of short spikes were wielded to perfection by her, but no matter how she unleashed them, Wu Quan calmly countered every move. Not only did he remain unharmed, but he wasn't even scratched. Seeing this, Luo Tianhao and his companions couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Mr. Wu was indeed formidable, worthy of the 10 million annual fee. It might be expensive, but it was worth every penny. Even someone as powerful as Ling Shuang couldn't lay a finger on Mr. Wu. Who else in this underground world could match her? It was a pity that Mr. Wu only agreed to assist when there were enemies, not to actively help seize territory. Otherwise, the entire underground world of Jiangnan would be at Ling Shuang's command. 3 minutes later, sweat dripped from Ling Shuang's delicate face. Although she had cultivated internal energy, it wasn't abundant. The frequent attacks over such a long period had taken a toll on her, causing her to pant slightly. Her fierce onslaught slowed down. Heh, can't go on anymore? It seems the martial arts of the Yamei sector nothing special after all. After easily dodging Ling Shuang's attacks, Wu Quan's eyes held a mocking glint. The reason he hadn't retaliated was to observe the Yamei sect's martial arts more closely. In case he encountered skilled Yamei practitioners in the future, he wanted to have a counter-strategy. Now that he had deciphered Ling Shuang's moves, he saw no need to hold back. With his right hand morphing into a claw, carrying a fierce gust of wind, he aimed to grab Ling Shuang's arm. Ling Shuang was no match for Wu Quan, and her internal energy was nearly depleted. She couldn't evade his attack and was caught by Wu Quan's eagle claw technique. Snap! A cracking sound resounded as the leather on Ling Shuang's right arm tore apart, revealing her delicate, snow-white skin. Wu Quan's sharp fingers sliced through her flesh, causing blood to gush out, leaving the skin and muscles in disarray. Gritting her teeth, Ling Shuang refrained from crying out. With her left hand, she thrust the short spike towards Wu Quan's eyes. Oomph, seeking death. Wu Quan snorted coldly, his palm swirling as he gathered true energy, unleashing the Gale Palm. A violent blast of palm force struck Ling Shuang's abdomen, sending her flying. Splutter! As Ling Shuang hung in the air, she spurted a mouthful of blood, resembling a withering flower, both tragic and beautiful. Just as she was about to crash to the ground, a pair of strong arms caught her. Xin Feng, who had somehow exited the vehicle, appeared behind Ling Shuang. Sis, don't worry. I'll handle this brat and vent your anger, Xin Feng declared. With a twist of his arm, he broke free from Ling Shuang's grasp, then swiftly unleashed the dragon's soaring step. Wide-eyed, Ling Shuang watched in astonishment as Qin Feng's figure blurred. Could he be a hidden expert, invisible even to her keen eyes? On the other side, Wu Quan's pupils constricted, his body covered in goosebumps, sensing the threat. This feeling was somewhat incredulous for him. Ever since he cultivated internal energy, he hadn't experienced this sensation for a long time. Seeing Qin Feng charging towards him, Wu Quan didn't dare to be careless. With a loud shout, he infused true energy into both arms and fiercely struck forward. This move, the mountain-shattering palm, was his signature technique, honed to perfection. By channeling true energy into both palms, he could instantly unleash immense power. Even a real mountain would crack upon impact, making it a truly lethal move. Wu Quan had defeated many formidable opponents with this technique. A muffled sound erupted as their fists clashed, their true energies colliding. Wu Quan's expression changed, feeling a violent surge of power rushing towards him. His prideful mountain-shattering palm was no match at all. Crack! The horrifying sound of bones breaking echoed as Wu Quan's arm snapped, and before he could react, another heavy blow struck his abdomen. A sound akin to a burst balloon emanated from his dantian as Wu Quan was sent flying, unconscious. With his dantian shattered, he was completely crippled. It's your turn now, Qin Feng turned to the stunned trio of Luo Tianhao. His voice was chilling. The three men trembled, thoroughly frightened. Plop. Without hesitation, the three big shots knelt down. A person who could knock out their esteemed Mr. Wu with a single blow was someone they couldn't afford to provoke. Chapter 19, just 0.01 centimeters away. Mercy, kind sir, have mercy. Chen Zhengyang was the first to cry out among the big shots present. He was the most terrified of death. Having witnessed Qin Feng's methods, he couldn't muster any resistance. As he spoke, Luo Tianhao and Tang Xinghan also pleaded for mercy. Qin Feng squatted down, patting the faces of the three big shots. From now on, my sister will unify the entire underground world of Jiangnan. Do you have any objections? No, no. From now on, we'll all look up to Queen Ling. Chen Zhengyang hastily replied, with Luo Tianhao and Tang Xinghan nodding in agreement. Very well. If anyone dares to have second thoughts in the future, this will be their fate. Qin Feng remarked, picking up a steel pipe from the side. With a casual grip, the end of the steel pipe turned into powder, floating down from Qin Feng's palm. The three big shots were dumbfounded. Was this even something a human could do? To crush a steel pipe, as thick as a grown man's arm, into powder with bare hands, the strength required was unimaginable. If he did the same to their heads. The trio shuddered at the thought. The scene was too terrifying to contemplate. They hurriedly assured, kind sir, we absolutely won't have any second thoughts. At that moment, Ling Shuang walked over and pinched Qin Feng's face. Hey, sis, what are you doing? That hurts. Qin Feng couldn't help but stand up as Ling Shuang pinched him. Unhappy, Ling Shuang said, you're so capable, why didn't you tell me? You had me worried. Just now, I almost. Qin Feng looked innocent. You didn't ask me. Ling Shuang rolled her eyes at him, then suddenly reached out and hugged Qin Feng, whispering in his ear, thank you, Xiaofeng. You fulfilled my wish after all these years. Thank you so much. Qin Feng felt a softness on his chest, an indescribable comfort. Ling Shuang's lips lightly brushed against his ear, sending a warm breath inside, making him feel itchy. He couldn't help but become a little bold, placing his hand on Ling Shuang's slender waist. Ling Shuang stiffened slightly, her face flushing slightly, but she didn't object. Seeing this, Qin Feng felt a surge of joy. He slowly moved his hand, preparing to touch that perfect curve that made people salivate. To be honest, he also wanted to conquer Ling Shuang, this domineering queen sister. Don't push your luck. Just 0.01 centimeters away from his target, Ling Shuang whispered softly. Then she quickly left Qin Feng's embrace. Disappointment flashed across Qin Feng's face. It was so close, yet so far. Aren't you looking for your friend? Why are you still standing there? Ask them, Ling Shuang said with a smile, seeing Qin Feng's foolish expression. Oh, right. Qin Feng snapped back to reality, almost forgetting about the main task. He looked at Luo Tianhao and the others and asked, "Where's Lin Yutong?" Chen Zhenyang and Tang Xinghan glanced at each other and shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Only Luo Tianhao was suddenly shocked. After the fight just now, he had almost forgotten about this woman. Now that Qin Feng asked, he knew he might be in trouble. Fortunately, he hadn't caused any substantial harm to Lin Yutong. The hero probably wouldn't kill him, right? Stuttering, he said, She's in my room." Upon hearing these words, Qin Feng strode purposefully towards the villa. Inside the room, Lin Yutong remained bound hand and foot. The new potion that Luo Tianhao had forced her to drink earlier had taken effect. She now felt a feverish heat spreading throughout her body, her consciousness gradually slipping into unconsciousness. Her face flushed red, emitting faint sounds from her mouth, her body writhing restlessly. However, it was a pity that she was tightly bound, her movements restricted. Lin Yutong couldn't bear it any longer. It was as if a primeval beast raged within her, stirring her deepest instincts. As time passed, the secondary effect of the new potion subsided. If, after the potion's effects had subsided, there was no spark due to external circumstances, then the potion's influence would lie dormant within the body. Once the external conditions were met, the potion's effects would erupt even more intensely than the first time. Bang! At that moment, Qin Feng kicked open the door. Seeing Lin Yutong, though her clothes were torn, seemingly untouched, he breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, she had not been violated. However, that scoundrel Luo Tianhao had gone too far, actually tying Lin Yutong to the bed. Qin Feng hurriedly stepped forward to untie the ropes from Lin Yutong's hands and feet. At this point, Lin Yutong's consciousness was nearly slipping into unconsciousness. In a daze, she caught a whiff of the scent of male hormones, and suddenly, the dormant effects of the potion were awakened. Her body was like a blazing fire, her skin flushing all over. She forcefully pushed Qin Feng onto the bed, disregarding everything to tear at his clothes. Qin Feng was bewildered. What was wrong with this girl? Why was she so wild? Seeing her frenzied behavior, he feared she wouldn't spare him if he didn't comply today. Yet, her state seemed somewhat off. Just as Qin Feng was pondering, he felt his belt loosen, and his trousers were unexpectedly pulled down by Lin Yutong. This wouldn't do. Qin Feng quickly embraced Lin Yutong, halting her further actions. But continuing like this was not a solution. Lin Yutong's exquisite figure wriggled against Qin Feng, stirring his anger. Damn it, what was this all about? If Sister Lu were to come in and see this, it would definitely look like they were caught in the act. He urgently reached out and pressed on several acupoints on Lin Yutong, finally calming her down. Phew. Qin Feng breathed a sigh of relief, laying Lin Yutong on the bed. In her struggle just now, Lin Yutong's inner garment had slipped halfway down. Trembling, Qin Feng reached out and pulled it up for her, accidentally touching her skin, instantly feeling dry-mouthed and tongue-tied. That silky sensation was no less than indulging in a piece of Ferrero Rocher chocolate. Although he had dated before, Qin Jiyun had always kept him at bay. Apart from holding hands and kissing, they hadn't done anything else. No wonder Qin Feng found it difficult to restrain himself. He was already in his 20s and still a novice, feeling quite frustrated. Fortunately, he still had some moral standards. Knowing that Lin Yutong was in such a state due to being drugged, he didn't think of taking advantage of her, instead pulling her undergarment back into place. He directed his true qi towards Lin Yutong's navel, guiding it into her body to expel the remnants of the potion. After more than 10 minutes, Lin Yutong's long eyelashes flickered, and she opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Qin Feng's incredibly handsome face. Surprised, she exclaimed, "Qin Feng, what are you doing here?" Then she remembered something, her face suddenly changing drastically as she hastily looked at her body, realizing she hadn't been violated. She couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief.